Chapter 1095. Adam felt Lan Su's deep resistance, and his stubborn temper flared up again. Just as he was about to push Lan Su down again, he met Lan Su's teary eyes. Adam was stunned. "Fuck, where did I hurt you?" Adam hurriedly got up from Lan Su and then sat to the side. He looked back and forth a few times, but didn't find any wounds on Lan Su's body. His worried look for Lan Su was 10,000 times more exaggerated than when he was heavily injured. Lan Su glanced at Adam, and then turned around to ignore Adam. Seeing this, Adam fiercely slapped his head. He looked at Lan Su, and the words of apology that were on the tip of his tongue couldn't come out. After waiting for a long time, Lan Su finally spoke. "Why did you do this to me? You like this? How do you want me to live in the future?" Adam scratched his head and remained silent for a long while. In the end, he muttered a muffled sentence. "I was impulsive." Adam, had never lost control like this before. Damn it. Just as Adam said this, he saw Lan Su, who was lying down with her back to him, slowly reach out her right wrist that should have been marked with the chastity mark. "If my clansmen knew about this, they would kill you." Lan Su closed her eyes, and her beautiful eyes flickered up and down. "Kill me?" Adam raised his eyebrows and asked. Lan Su nodded her head with her back to Adam and said, "Misham. So let's treat today's matter as if it never happened. Forget about today's matter. I won't marry anyone in this life anyways." Lan Su's soft moans entered Adam's ears, and he immediately remembered how alluring Lan Su's sweet moans were during the intense moments just now. Adam resisted the urge to push Lan Su down again, and reached out his hand to grab Lan Su, forcing Lan Su to look into his eyes. Then Adam resisted the rough words that came out of his mouth. He looked Lan Su in his eyes and added a hint of sweetness in his domineering tone. "Damn, woman, you're already like this with me, and you want me to forget today's matter? Not a chance. Let me tell you, your father, will definitely marry you." Adam held Lan Su's face and said these words in a flustered and exasperated manner. Lan Su originally thought that Adam was only interested in her, so she didn't think about whether Adam would take responsibility for her or not. But when she heard Adam's words, Lan Su stared blankly. Then she saw Adam once again pouncing on her and planted a red strawberry berry mark to her to the point. Lan Su's up to the point. "To marry me, your father, your father to marry you. So you're not to leave. Do you hear me?" Although these words were domineering and didn't allow her to refute, Lan Su's heart unconsciously warmed. She actually couldn't help but reach out her hand to respond to Adam, a moment of lingering. At the same time, on a small field road that was quite a distance away from the Wanjiang Expressway, Tiger. Leopard dragged Hu Batian out of the taxi driver's car. Yun Jian looked at Hu Batian with her arms crossed and her eyebrows slightly raised. It's you. What do you want to do?" Hu Batian quickly recognized the three people standing in front of him. Weren't they Yun Jian, Snake, Lizard, and Tiger? Leopard? He was so scared that his face turned pale. Snake, Lizard, and Tiger. Leopard were the two elders of the Kosha mercenaries. Their status was second only to the Kosha mercenaries' boss. Yun Jian lightly snorted. She crossed her arms and looked at Hu Batian. After a while, she faintly said to Hu Batian, "I don't want to do anything. I just want to settle a score with you." What? Hu Batian's collar was grabbed by the tall and sturdy Tiger. Leopard, and he trembled with fear as he asked, "Do you still remember not long ago when you joined forces with the military organization to plot against my Kosha mercenaries?" Yun Jian casually said, and her smile was eerie and terrifying. Chapter 1096. Listening to Yun Jian calling herself Kosha mercenaries, Hu Batian's legs turned to jelly from the shock. When Snake, Lizard, Tiger, Leopard, Diani, Guiyin, and Guilian, all the famous figures of Kosha mercenaries, addressed Yun Jian as Sister Jian during the wedding ceremony, Hu Batian had already been suspicious. In spite of it, he had always thought that Yun Jian was so young. How could she be the one from the Kosha mercenaries? Hence, he did not have any doubts. It was only when Yun Jian said what she said just now that Hu Batian snapped back to reality. She had actually referred to herself as Gu Sha mercenaries and had pointed out her recent actions so accurately. Hu Batian felt like he was struck by lightning. He slumped to the floor, but Tiger Leopard held him back from sitting completely. He then looked at Yun Jian with a shaky gaze and uttered what he said just now. Yun Jian did not admit to Hu Batian's words directly. She merely smiled faintly before her smile faded. The girl's slender figure stood in front of Hu Batian. If he had not heard what Yun Jian said just now or seen what Yun Jian did now, Hu Batian would probably have thought that she was an innocent and harmless girl. Yun Jian ignored Hu Batian, raising a brow with a smile. She kept quiet for a while before she spoke. I wasn't looking for you, but you came to me yourself. Hu Batian, what do you think are your chances of leaving this place alive today? As Yun Jian smirked, a butterfly knife was already hooked in her hand. It spun nimbly and swiftly between her fingers. Seeing Yun Jian's action and hearing her words, Hu Batian could not help gulping. Ew, what do you want? Hu Batian asked in a trembling voice. Hu Batian paused. He was afraid that Yun Jian would really kill him. So he continued, I can give you anything, as long as you don't kill me. After hearing Yun Jian's name, they started to beg for mercy before they even started to attack. Yun Jian just smiled coldly. After you die, your things will naturally belong to me. Yun Jian crossed her arms. She did not look directly at Hu Batian. Instead, she looked into the distance. Now, I only want to know your relationship with the former Inferno Ring. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and said. Upon hearing that Yun Jian knew that he was related to the destroyed Inferno Ring, Hu Batian's heart trembled violently. He averted his eyes as if he was dodging something, and his cunning eyes shifted slightly. What are you talking about? I've only worked with the mercenaries once. I don't know about the former Inferno Ring you're talking about. Hu Batian refused to admit it. Considering his own safety, Hu Batian added, but it's fine if you want to know. I'll only tell you. Tell the others to leave. As soon as Hu Batian finished speaking, Yun Jian agreed. Okay. As soon as Yun Jian agreed, Snake, Lizard, Tiger, Leopard, and the driver walked away. Hu Batian then put his hands behind his back and said, Since you know that I'm related to the former Inferno Ring, I don't mind telling you. The mysterious person who controlled the former Inferno Ring and tried to destroy the Kosha mercenaries came from the Yulong mainland. As soon as Hu Batian finished speaking, he saw that Yun Jian was listening intently, so he suddenly withdrew his hands from behind his back. With this retraction, 2 sharp blades appeared in his hands. Chapter 1097. Just as Hu Batian was about to stab his saber at Yun Jian, a butterfly knife that was several times faster than him followed the trajectory of the wind and struck his heart. 2 seconds before Hu Batian was about to stab Yun Jian with both sabers, the butterfly knife in her hand was 2 seconds faster than Hu Batian as it plunged into his chest. Hu Batian's eyes widened at the speed of Yun Jian's hand as he glared at the girl who was grinning like the Grim Reaper in the dark. All of a sudden, he felt his chest tighten, and he could feel the butterfly knife stabbing into his beating heart. Hu Batian felt himself leaning backward as he looked at Yun Jian in disbelief, as if he had suddenly understood something. Why? No wonder. Why did I die in your hands when I made the first move? So you're really slaying God. No wonder you could really kill me. Before Hu Batian could even finish his sentence, his body had already tilted backwards in an arc. Finally, a second before his consciousness faded completely, Hu Batian heard the last thing he heard in his life as a human. Because I'm slaying God. Because she's slaying God. So you have to die. Right after Yun Jian spoke, Hu Batian closed his eyes forever. Sister Jian, Snake, Lizard, Tiger, Leopard, and the driver called out in unison when they came back to look at Yun Jian. The driver was none other than Raccoon, who was skilled in disguise. After Raccoon put on makeup for Qin Yuru and Good Junjian, he killed Hu Batian's driver and disguised himself as a man before taking Hu Batian to the highway. That was how the flawless plan came to be. Amen. Yun Jian looked at the trio and nodded softly before adding, Take care of the body. Today's trip wasn't in vain. Today's trip was indeed not in vain, because she found out one thing. Who Batian had told her a secret before he died. The mysterious person who controlled the former Inferno ring was from the Yulong continent. Although Hu Batian eventually planned to use this secret to try to kill her, Yun Jian was able to recognize it. The mysterious person who controlled the former Inferno ring was indeed from the Yulong continent. Now that he knew about this matter, it wasn't hard to let it go. In his previous life, the kidnapping of his younger brother and his subsequent murder were all controlled by the Inferno ring. The Inferno ring had already been destroyed by Yun Jian and Ce. Later, he found out that there was someone else controlling the Inferno ring. Later, a series of things happened to Yun Jian, including various assassination attempts. It could be deduced that all of this had something to do with that mysterious man. Ever since Yun Jian was assassinated, Yun Jian and Ce had never given up on investigating this matter. Especially Ce. Everything Yun Jian knew today was told to her by Ce. Today, she finally knew that the mysterious man was from the Yulong continent. By the time Yun Jian returned to Clear Rhythm Hotel, it was already 7:30 p.m. Most of the things here were already packed, and Qin Yiru had already been sent back to Gu Yunjian's house. Many of Gu Yunjian's comrades had also gone to Gu Yunjian's house noisily. They rolled up their sleeves and said that they were going to wreak havoc in the new house. Yun Jian had just gotten out of the car when she saw Ce walking towards her. "Where did you go?" Ce walked over and grabbed her little hand, asking softly. "To kill someone." Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She said it so softly that only the two of them could hear it. Chapter 1098. Just as Yun Jian gently leaned into Ce's embrace and felt his warm embrace, a voice came from the side. "Young master, Adam is missing." Hearing this voice and feeling the girl leave his embrace in the next second, Ce furrowed his brows in displeasure. Yun Jian quickly extricated herself from Ce's embrace. She looked at Mo-san, who was looking at Ce with a rather worried gaze, and raised her eyebrows. Before Ce could reply to Mo-san, Mo-san turned his gaze towards Yun Jian. "Young madam, have you seen Adam?" Yun Jian's eyes sharpened. She wiped her red lips and said, "I have." "Where?" Mo-san asked anxiously. "The hotel's back door." He pulled Lan Su and left. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. Hearing this, Mo-san's nervous emotions slowly relaxed a little. "Thank you, young madam. I'll go take a look." Mo-san finished speaking and turned to leave. "Let's go take a look too." Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. Just a moment ago, she suddenly made a decision, so she decided to go look for Lan Su now. As she spoke, she pulled Ce and walked in that direction. The girl's fragrance assailed his nostrils. Ce was unconsciously pulled along by Yun Jian. Two living people had disappeared here just like that. Yun Jian couldn't just aimlessly continue searching. Thus, she suggested going to the surveillance room of Clear Rhythm Hotel to look for them. After looking through the surveillance, she found Adam and Lan Su's figures. It wasn't strange for a 4-star hotel like Clear Rhythm Hotel to have surveillance. Through the surveillance, everyone present saw the scene of Adam forcefully dragging Lan Su into the hotel's large suite. As for the scene of Adam forcefully kissing Lan Su, because it wasn't near the hotel surveillance didn't record it. "Damn, good brat. Adam, this fellow is too ferocious. Don't you have any sense of pity for the fair sex?" Shuang laughed when he saw the surveillance video. His smile was handsome. If it wasn't for the long scar on his neck, Shuang would definitely be the most handsome of the 4 leaders of Anhan. Beside him, Lin Wei saw the surveillance camera, but he didn't seem to be moved at all. Mo-san didn't say anything, but his face clearly darkened. Just as he walked to the door of the big suite, Mo-san quickly unlocked the door. Ce, Lin Wei, and Shuang stood at the door and didn't enter. Yun Jian, however, followed him in. As soon as the door opened, the smell of sex assaulted his nose. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. "Damn, Adam, this brat is really amazing." Shuang stood at the door and saw the messy clothes on the floor. He couldn't help but ridicule again. At this time, Emo's son had already walked in with a sullen face. Lon, Su, and Adam were shocked when they saw Emo's senator, of course. Although Lon, Su, and Adam were naked, their bodies were covered with a thick blanket. When Emo's son saw this scene, his eyelids only twitched. Then he shouted at Adam, "Adam, put on your clothes and get out here." With that, Emo's son turned and left. This was the first time in his life that Emo's son was so angry. When Emo's son just came in, Lon Su buried her head under the blanket. They all knew. She was too ashamed to face them. Yun Jin smiled. She stood at a distance and looked at Lon Su and Adam, who were huddled together under the blanket. She looked straight at the bulging Lon Su under the blanket and said, "Don't go back to Yulong mainland first. I'll go back with you during the summer break." With that, she turned and left the room, leaving some space for Lon Su and Adam. As soon as Yun Jin finished speaking, Lon Su popped her head out of the blanket in surprise and joy. "Yun Jin, really?" Chapter 1099. "Damn it, woman. Can't you open your eyes for me? You're not even wearing any F***king clothes." Adam didn't say the last sentence. He reached his hand into his hair impatiently. He was very impatient, but he suppressed his violent temper and growled at Lon Su. Lon Su was really too excited just now. Yun Jin actually agreed to return to Yulong mainland. So Lon Su was really too excited. "Sorry, I was too excited." Lon Su wasn't even listening to what Adam was saying to her right now. She was so excited that her entire body was trembling. She was so excited that she couldn't control herself. So she opened her mouth and replied to Adam carelessly. Adam was just yelled at by Emo's son, and he was a mess right now. In the end, when he heard Lon Su's extremely perfunctory words, the corners of his mouth immediately twitched. Lon Su was excited. She had just slid her pure white jade feet to the ground and was about to pick up the embarrassing inner and outer clothes that were thrown messily on the ground. Her legs suddenly went soft, and a certain part of her body hurt. Her entire body almost went limp and fell to the ground. Adam caught her hand in time and flipped her entire body back onto the bed. Adam's figure flashed, and he propped himself up on Lon Su's upper body without an inch of clothing. He looked sharply at her naked body under the bedding. "Ah, you. Don't look." Lon Su was shocked. She hurriedly reached out her hand to cover her chest, covering a certain part. "What are you covering up for? Not only have I seen it, I've also touched it all over." Adam curled his lips wickedly and said these shameful words very seriously. "You?" Lon Su's face instantly flushed red. Her rosy cheeks were pink and tender. When Adam saw this scene, he almost couldn't help but do Lon Su again. But considering that Yun Jin and the others had already walked out of the door and were walking towards the living room on the first floor, Adam still turned over and stood up. After Yun Jin and Emo's son came out of the big suite, they followed the others to the living room on the first floor of the hotel. He left all the space for the two people in the room. Emo's son's face was terrifyingly dark. Even Shui Ing and Lin Wei, two people who didn't understand romance, could feel that the atmosphere was not right. "Haha, what's the matter, Mo, son? Don't tell me you're jealous of that brat Adam." Shuang laughed as he walked in front of Emo's son and lightly placed his hand on Emo's son's shoulder. However, Emo's son slapped his hand away. "Hey, what's wrong?" Shui Ing couldn't understand. He laughed and said, "Hey, what's wrong?" On the other side, Yun Jin was sitting on a leather sofa in the lounge of the large living room on the first floor. See, he was standing beside Yun Jin. After waiting for a while, they finally saw two people walking down the stairs. Adam, who was dressed in formal attire, walked at the very front, followed by a somewhat embarrassed Lon Su. Seeing Lon Su walking so slowly, Adam turned around and grabbed Lon Su's hand and walked over. Yun Jin raised her eyebrows. She and C didn't open their mouths. In terms of emotions, C was free to raise Adam and the other three. When Adam pulled Lon Su and walked over, Emo Sen's eyes flashed. The few people present clearly saw Emo Sen's eyes darken. He directly walked over and rushed in front of Adam. Raising his hand, Emo's son ferociously punched Adam's chest. Adam was struggling. His whole body tilted backward and fell. Adam took a few steps back before stopping. Imo-san, are you crazy? After stopping, Adam covered his chest and looked at Imo-san in shock. He didn't think that Imo-san would actually beat him like this. Just as he stopped, he saw Imo-san standing in front of Lan-su. Chapter 1100. Lan-su was frightened by Imo-san's action just now. She saw Imo-san beat up Adam and stood in front of her. She couldn't help but widen her eyes and stare blankly. Actually, it didn't matter to her whether she was responsible or not, because she still had more important things to do. Lan-su was just about to rush to Yunjian when she suddenly saw that Imo-san didn't answer him. He thought that Lan-su was wronged. Imo-san quickly walked over and grabbed Adam's collar and pulled him in front of Lan-su. Adam, apologize. Imo-san bellowed at Adam. Adam touched the bridge of his nose. He cursed in his heart for a while. Didn't he say that he wanted to marry Lan-su as his wife? Why did Imo-san still think that he was just playing around with Lan-su? Seeing that Adam didn't speak, Imo-san clenched his fist and hit Adam again. Before he even touched Adam's clothes, Lan-su's words came over. Don't hit. Today's matter was voluntary. Lan-su went against her conscience and said such a sentence. When Adam was beaten by Imo-san, he obviously didn't fight back. She was really afraid that Imo-san beat Adam too hard and something happened to Adam. If something happened to Adam, what should she do? Lan-su frowned. She suddenly thought of this. Just when she thought of this, Lan-su immediately loosened her brows. Pay. She still hadn't said that she would agree to be with Adam. Imo-san's fist rushed to Adam's cool face. He was just about to hit it. Hearing Lan-su's words, he stopped. Adam, don't forget what Mom and Dad said to us before they passed away. In this life, you can only be loyal to one woman. Once you've decided on a person, you have to protect her with your life. Imo-san clenched his fist and placed it in front of Adam's head. In the end, he didn't hit Adam, but said such words. With that, he turned around and left the place. He quickly walked out of the door of Clear Rhythm Hotel. After Imo-san left, Adam stood in the same place. He was also silent. Yunjian sat not far away and watched. When she heard Imo-san's words, she was surprised and stunned. What's this? What's the situation? Looking at the scene in front of him, Shui-ing was stunned. Then he very cleverly turned his head to look at Lin Wei. Lin Wei's age was the oldest among the 4 leaders of an Hun's group. Of course, even the oldest, he was absolutely not over 30. Actually, Lin Wei was not much older than Shui-ing and the other 2. He was at most 2 or 3 years older, but the aura he displayed was quite mature. Among the 4 leaders of an Hun group, Lin Wei was the first to follow CE. And Adam. Last was Shui-ing. Therefore, Shui-ing didn't know much about Imo-san and Adam's background. Just as Shui-ing turned his head to ask Lin Wei, before Lin Wei could reply, Adam took the initiative and said in a muffled voice, "He's my biological brother." So Imo-san was usually very strict with Adam and especially meddled in Adam's affairs. CE and Lin Wei obviously knew about this. Both of them didn't move an inch. Shui-ing was dumbfounded. Yunjian also stood up with furrowed eyebrows. Lan-su on the other side was also very surprised. Imo-san was actually Adam's brother? But why did Imo-san and Adam never address each other as brothers in front of others? Just as the few people present were thinking of this, Adam reached out and grabbed Lan-su, walking towards the door. Shui-ing and Lin Wei saw this, and because they were worried about Imo-san, they also followed out. So only Yunjian and CE were left in the hall. Yunjian frowned slightly and looked at CE, but after 2 seconds of silence, she didn't say anything. Chapter 1101. As CE's handsome face came closer and closer to hers, Yunjian subconsciously nodded. To be honest, Yunjian had never imagined that Imo-san and Adam were biological brothers. Imo-san and Adam didn't look alike, but if she thought about it carefully now that she knew the truth, even if Immerse and Adam didn't look alike at first glance, each of them had their own handsome features. But there were still some details that made them look alike. Now that she heard CE's words that sounded like a seduction, Yunjian nodded subconsciously. Yunjian nodded. Her tender cheeks looked very delicious. See, he couldn't help but swallow. His handsome face was already close to Yun Jian's cheek. His handsome lips were just a centimeter away from her right cheek. Give me a kiss, and I'll tell you. See, looked at Yun Jian's red lips that were moving up and down. His throat went dry, and he took advantage of the situation to say these shameless words. As soon as Ce finished speaking, Yun Jian's face turned red. But her facial expression didn't change as usual. After hearing Ce's embarrassing words, Yun Jian's expression changed slightly. Then she reached out and pushed Ce's firm chest. Mama's already gone back to Uncle G's house. Let's hurry over too. Yun Jian said as she tried to push Ce away and stand up. Before she could stand up, Ce grabbed her slender waist and leaned his handsome face closer to hers. Almost at the same time, Ce moved closer to Yun Jian's red lips and quickly stole a kiss. Then he quickly let go of her. Yun Jian's cheeks flushed in no time. Let's go home. Ce reached out and grabbed Yun Jian's lily-white hand. Before Yun Jian could say anything, he pulled her towards the hotel's main entrance. Yun Jian didn't see that when Ce pulled her soft and smooth hand towards the entrance of Clear Rhythm Hotel, his lips curved up slightly. His handsome lips brushed up and down, as if he was licking the taste of her lips that had just touched the surface of the water. 8:30 p.m. Usually at this time, Qin Yiru would be sleeping with Xiao Yunzhu and the other two. But today was not normal. Today was Qin Yiru and Gu Yunjian's wedding. In Gu Yunjian's villa, Qin Yiru's relatives had already returned to Xinjiang town. Those who stayed were Gu Yunjian's friends and family, especially Gu Yunjian's comrades. They were all vowing to snatch the brides who had returned to their bridal chamber. There was an unwritten rule when people of Longmen City got married. On the night after the wedding ceremony, when the bride returned to her bridal chamber, the groom's relatives and friends could rush into the bridal chamber to snatch the bride and bridesmaids. Those who snatched the bride or bridesmaids out of the bridal chamber and carried them downstairs would receive a huge gift from the groom. Of course, it was not just those who snatched the bride and bridesmaids out of the bridal chamber. When the adults snatched the bride and bridesmaids out, the children could rush into the bridal chamber. As long as they carried a dowry pillow out, they would be rewarded with gifts such as cigarettes and a big bag of wedding candies. This was an unwritten game during weddings in Longmen City. Of course, some wealthy families might not like it. It was considered a game as well. At most, it was to join in the fun and have fun. It was also commonly known as nuptials. Chapter 11:02. Charge. Let's snatch the bride. A large group of people rushed into the villa noisily. It was a spectacular scene. Yun Jian paused for a moment when the group of men rushed into the villa. In the next second, she couldn't help but grab Ce's hand and run towards the villa as well. The night was always quiet, but at this moment, it was wrapped in something called happiness. It gave people endless joy. When Yun Jian held Ce's hand and ran into the villa first, Gu Yunjian's comrades had already successfully snatched the bride downstairs. Gu Yunjian also participated. Of course, he wasn't trying to snatch the bride. Instead, he was trying to stop his comrades from snatching the bride. However, in the end, his comrades still managed to snatch the bride downstairs noisily. Yun Jian didn't do anything when her mother was snatched downstairs. This was just a game used to add to the fun, so she naturally wouldn't participate. Sister, I snatched a big pillow. Me too. I snatched a big water bottle. I got slippers. Xiao Yunju, Duan Li, and Duan Yu were holding their spoils of war. When they saw Yun Jian, the three of them ran over. Yun Jian was almost amused by the three of them. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian were getting married. This was their home. How could they snatch things from their own home? However, Yun Jian didn't expose the three of them. You're amazing. Ce reached out and patted Xiao Yunju, who was the closest to him. He praised Xiao Yunju very generously. Hee, brother Ce is amazing too, Xiao Yunju said embarrassedly. Then, Xiao Yunju walked over to Yun Jian. He held Yun Jian's hand and placed it in Ce's big palm. Big brother Ce praised me, so I gave my sister to big brother Ce. Xiao Yunju said. Without waiting for Yun Jian to react and deal with him, he ran away with Duan Li and Duanya. Yun Jian pursed her lips. She did not notice that Si had raised her eyebrows again. The bustling bridal chamber was also over. Those who had robbed the bridal chamber also took their trophies, such as wedding candies, cigarettes, pillowcases, and other things, and went home one after another. The night soon quieted down. Logically speaking, Yun Jian should live in Gu Yunjian's house. After all, Qin Yiru was now married to Gu Junjian, so naturally, she should live here with him. However, Si pulled Yun Jian along and drove the Lamborghini away from Gu Yunjian's house. Qin Yiru was very relieved that Yun Jian was going out with Si. At this moment, Yun Jian was sitting in Si's car. After the car drove out of Gu Yunjian's house, it quickly stopped in front of a villa that was very close to Gu Yunjian's house, but was even more luxurious than Gu Yunjian's house. Then, he pulled Yun Jian into the huge villa. Do you like it? Si pulled Yun Jian into the villa. The interior looked brand new. It was not hard to tell that this villa had just been renovated. This is... Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. We'll live here in the future. It'll only belong to the two of us. Si opened the door of the villa and led Yun Jian inside. Then, Si paused and said, "It'll only take 3 minutes to walk to Uncle Ji's house from here. You can go there at any time." So, he had long planned to buy the surrounding land and had people build this villa a long time ago. Yun Jian stared at Si for a few seconds. At this moment, the surroundings were very quiet. The dim yellow light from the ceiling shone down and enveloped Yun Jian, making her look exceptionally alluring. The door was tightly shut. Chapter 11:03. Xiao Jian. Si was on top of Yun Jian. His manly voice drifted to Yun Jian's side, making Yun Jian's rosy cheeks flush even deeper. "Get up. I'm going to sleep." Yun Jian blushed and pushed Si's chest casually, but Si pinned her down on the sofa with no intention of getting up. Si had already bent down to put his head close to Yun Jian's neck, brushing his lips softly across Yun Jian's collarbone. Yun Jian shuddered. He pressed down on her like this, and she could even feel a certain part of his desire pressing against her embarrassing place, gradually expanding. Xiao Jian. While Yun Jian was still in a daze, Si had already reached her earlobe and kissed her delicately. "Don't do this. I still have school tomorrow." Just as Yun Jian said that, Si's large palms had already caressed a certain point of hers. Moreover, his large palms still passed through her clothes and grasped the delicate point of light without any obstruction. Just as Yun Jian pressed down on Si's hand that was moving about, she felt a chill below her. In the next second, Si had already removed the pants that were covering her legs. His hands caressed her skin gently. His hands were icy cold, causing Yun Jian to shudder every time they touched her. Yun Jian had to admit that while she resisted Si, she was also looking forward to it. It was as if she was anticipating something. In the end, Yun Jian stopped resisting and allowed him to touch every inch of her skin. Other than the last step, Yun Jian was sure that this was the most shameful thing she had ever done in both her past and present life. The next day, Yun Jian went back to school as usual. In the morning, it was Si who drove her to school. After May 21st, the next day was May 22nd. The midterms were set to be in the latter half of June, which meant that the exams would start on June 18th and end on the 20th. These few days, the students in school were crazily memorizing their books in an attempt to make the final push. There were only 3 days left until the midterms. Chen Sini asked Yun Jian, Zhang Xiaofeng, Zhang Jian, and Ling Yichen to go to her house to study together. Chen Sini had missed a month's worth of homework due to her suicide attempt a while ago. This was fatal to the students who were about to take the midterms. Therefore, Yun Jian and the others went to Chen Sini's house to tutor her. Without a care in the world, Yun Jian sat on the sofa and watched Chen Sini and the rest study diligently. Chen Sini envied Yun Jian for being able to achieve such good results while studying even more diligently. Halfway through, Chen Sini's mother, Hixia, came in with a plate of sliced pineapples. Seeing how hard-working the children were, she couldn't help but say, "The snacks are here. The snacks are here. Let's all take a break. Don't give yourself too much pressure. Just treat the middle school entrance exam as normal." After saying that, Shia placed the plate on the coffee table in front of them and walked out. When they were eating fruits, they finally calmed down. "Huff, huff, I'm so tired, so tired." Ling Yichin used a toothpick to skewer a piece of pineapple and chewed it. Then, Ling Yichin looked at the people around him. It wasn't easy for him to have some free time. In his exhaustion, he naturally had to set a pleasant and relaxing goal so that he could continue working hard in the long and arduous period ahead. Therefore, Ling Yichin asked everyone something they had been looking forward to. "What are your plans after the midterms?" "Of course we're going to eat and drink to our heart's content." Chen Sini's eyes lit up at the mention of this. After the group finished talking, it was Yun Jian's turn. Yun Jian suddenly remembered that Chu Ning and the others had invited her to Min City's military academy after the midterms. Chapter 1104. Ling Yichin and the rest were well aware that Yun Jian would be going to Min City. After all, Yun Jian will be going to Min City's military academy after graduation, so it was necessary for her to understand the situation there first. Therefore, Ling Yichin and the rest looked like they understood the situation very well. Just as Yun Jian finished speaking, however, Chen Sini pouted. "Jian, these are our last 3 days in school. I can't bear to—" Chen Sini pouted at Yun Jian and said reluctantly, "Oh my, Min City isn't far from Longmin City. I heard that in Min City's military academy, as long as you're capable, you're qualified to request for skipping classes. Yun Jian's so good. She can come back anytime with a simple request." "Ha! Let's get together again then." Ling Yichin patted Chen Sini's shoulder and said generously. In spite of it, he was actually a little reluctant. Everyone present had been with Yun Jian for more than half a year and had encountered many things along the way. Chen Sini, Zhang Xiaofeng, and Ling Yichin, in particular, were like frogs in a well when they did not know Yun Jian. In school, they were the same as the other students, only knowing a little. Since they got to know Yun Jian, however, they had seen many things that most people would never be able to touch in their entire lives. Although it was dangerous, Chen Sini and the other two had no regrets. All right, it's not like Master is going to leave. Hurry up and eat. We'll continue learning when we're done." Zhang Xiaofeng was reluctant as well, but like Ling Yichin, he could not bear to see Chen Sini cry, so he comforted her. Then, all of them were fully immersed in their studies. After leaving Chen Sini's house and parting ways with Ling Yichin and Zhang Jian, Yun Jian headed home. It was the weekend, and it was 6 o'clock in the evening. It was the end of spring, and the days were getting longer. Even when it was 7:30, the sun's rays could still be seen before it set. At 6 o'clock, the sky was as bright as the day. Yun Jian walked along the streets just like that. "Ah, Li Hang. It's Li Hang. I actually saw Li Hang. Ah, it's like I'm dreaming. Oh, my darling. I love him so much. I'm so excited. I actually saw my idol in person. In person." Suddenly, the girl's high-pitched screams came from the front. Then, Yun Jian saw a large crowd ahead of her, blocking her path. Li, once she heard the name, she remembered who he was. Yun Jian had a good memory. Wasn't this Li Hang the same actor who had hit on her when she went to Baiguang Model Agency to rescue Chen Sini? Judging by the crowd, he should be rather famous. However, this person wanted to touch her, but before he could, he broke his wrist. Yun Jian did not have a good impression of this male celebrity called Li Hang. She turned around and was about to leave. Hey, it's you." A male voice sounded. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. Before she could take a step, she caught a glimpse of Li Hang, who was surrounded by the crowd, walking over. Li Hang's bodyguards pushed the crowd aside, allowing Li Hang to see Yun Jian. When Li Hang saw Yun Jian, he was stunned. In the past few months, a slender figure had appeared in his mind. That person was Yun Jian. Back then, he broke his wrist, causing him to have to recuperate for a long time. He had been brooding over this matter, thinking that the next time he saw Yun Jian, he would use her as his sex toy. He was going to turn Yun Jian into his venting object and capture CE to break all his meridians. He was going to show CE the despair he felt when he took his woman as his own. Li Hang had been looking for Yunjian for a long time, but he couldn't find her. Chapter 1105. It could be said that Yunjian's cold and arrogant personality and the way she swung the butterfly knife to kick the guards away, even using it to slash the clothes of the guard to try to stop her at the entrance of Baiguang Model Agency. If the knife had slid in a little more or stabbed deeper, the guards would have been dead. Yunjian's movements were uncanny, but it was this uncanny ability that gave people endless room for imagination. It even made Yunjian look mysterious, which was why Li Hang was attracted by Yunjian's mysteriousness and could not forget her for a long time. Li Hang thought that he must have been possessed. He had not slept well for the past few months. Closing his eyes, his mind was filled with the image of Yunjian's slender figure and perfect figure, as well as her stunning face. She was so mesmerizing and gentle. Li Hang had never been one to let himself be wronged. He had long sent people to search for Yunjian's whereabouts. Usually, it was a piece of cake for him to find a girl in Longmen City with his influence. However, in the process of searching for Yunjian, it was as if someone had purposely erased Yunjian's whereabouts when his men were searching for her. It was as if she was not from Earth at all. Li Hang could not find Yunjian, no matter how hard he tried. Therefore, Li Hang was overjoyed to see Yunjian today. When Yunjian saw Li Hang rushing toward her, she narrowed her eyes and curled her lips into a mocking smile, but it was gone in a flash. She didn't pay any attention to Li Hang at all and was about to walk forward. Li Hang felt a blow to himself when he saw that Yunjian was ignoring him. Looking at the group of girls around him, which one of them was not screaming and jostling to rush to him when they saw him. They looked like they did not even care about their lives. What about her? How dare she ignore him? Li Hang was indignant and ran to Yunjian to stop her. "Beauty, why are you leaving when you see me? Huh, had you forgotten about me? We met last time in Baiguang." In order to show off his handsomeness, Li Hang deliberately flipped his short hair. This action of flipping her short hair caused a large group of girls around her scream. Li Hang became even more arrogant. Although the man who appeared last time was taller and more handsome than him, could he have as many female fans as him? It wasn't that Li Hang wanted to brag, but if he needed it, every single girl standing here would be willing to obediently spread their legs and lie on the bed like a pug, begging him to take them. Li Hang had also slept with a few female fans in the past. Later on, when those female fans got pregnant, he even forced them to have an abortion. One of them even lost her right to be a mother forever because she had an abortion. In the end, Li Hang's manager forced him to do so with money. Li Hang's actions caused the girls present to scream, but it didn't affect Yunjian at all. Li Hang was looking forward to it, thinking that Yunjian would definitely be attracted by his handsome and charming side, like those beautiful female fans of his in the past, in front of Li Hang and all the surrounding fans, including Li Hang's manager. Everyone thought that Yunjian would faint from happiness after being hit on by Li Hang like this. Unexpectedly, Yunjian glanced at Li Hang coldly and said, "Get out of my way. Get out of my way. You're blocking my way." As soon as Yunjian finished speaking, the surrounding people were so shocked that their breathing stopped. She actually spoke to the superstar Li Hang like this. Chapter 1106. Yunjian suddenly recalled the time when she had entered Baiguang Model Agency to save Chunsini. Chunsini had been lying helplessly on the ground, staring at one spot with a hopeless expression. Her wrist had been cut and fresh blood was flowing out. It was a ghastly sight, but it was so tenacious that it made one feel sorry for her. Li Hang was also an actor from Baiguang Model Agency. Because Baiguang Model Agency had offended Yunjian back then, Baiguang Model Agency had closed down. Li Hang's contract with Baiguang Model Agency had naturally been terminated midway. And for a big star like Li Hang, without Baiguang Model Agency, he was immediately poached by another entertainment company. His current resources were even better than when he was at Baiguang Model Agency. But at the end of the day, Li Hang was an actor from Baiguang Model Agency. So when she saw Li Hang, Yun Jian felt like she was looking at Chun Sinny, who was lying in a pool of blood back then. It felt as if Li Hang was also the mastermind behind Chun Sinny's incident. At this moment, Yun Jian had the urge to make Li Hang bleed to death in front of her. Of course, if Li Hang had obediently stepped aside today, Yun Jian naturally wouldn't have done anything to him. But unfortunately, Li Hang was unwilling to let go now, even if he was beaten to death. The only figure that had appeared in his mind for the past few months was her. The feeling of not being able to find the person he was looking for in the vast world drove Li Hang crazy. After hearing Yun Jian's words, the surrounding fans were stunned. If it had been any other fan present who had received such attention from Li Hang, they would have probably fainted from excitement. But what about Yun Jian? Not only was she not flattered, but she even said such things to the big star Li Hang. Li Hang himself was also taken aback, but he quickly recovered his senses. He thought that Yun Jian was joking with him. So Li Hang smiled and pretended to be very gentle to Yun Jian. Beauty, your words don't match your looks. You're pretty, so this kind of joke doesn't match you. As Li Hang spoke, he shook his head again, pretending to be very handsome. Just as he finished speaking, Yun Jian's cold voice rang in his ears again. You don't believe me, do you? As soon as Yun Jian's words rang out, Li Hang felt a ruthless force flying toward him. In the next second, everyone saw Yun Jian stretch out her leg and kick Li Hang in the abdomen, knocking him to the ground. At the same time, her figure flashed, and she followed closely behind, stomping her foot hard on Li Hang's abdomen. My Hung Hung! Seeing their idol being stepped on by Yun Jian, the fans began to scream and tried to rush over. But just as the fans rushed over, they were shocked by the shiny thing in Yun Jian's hand and stopped in their tracks. He saw that Yun Jian was holding a butterfly knife that had appeared out of nowhere and was casually swinging it twice. These fans were all frightened and stopped in their tracks. You? How dare you do this to my Hung Hung? Li Hang's female manager was shocked. She was about to stand up and threaten Yun Jian. Before she could threaten her, Yun Jian chuckled. Why wouldn't I dare? As she spoke, she swung the butterfly knife, and the blade of the butterfly knife ruthlessly cut Li Hang's wrist. The cut was very deep, and blood gushed out. At the same time, she raised her foot, moved it from Li Hang's abdomen to the wound on his wrist, and stomped down hard. Li Hang was in so much pain that he rolled around. Seeing the blood in Li Hang's body spurting out of his wrist, everyone present turned pale with fright. Li Hang's bodyguards wanted to stop her. Chapter 11:07. If Yun Jian's words had been taken as a joke by everyone present at the beginning, then Yun Jian's words had been taken as a joke by Li Hang, but Yun Jian had acted out her words. From this point alone, everyone present no longer dared to doubt Yun Jian. What a joke. Just now, they had thought that this girl looked sweet, and that her harsh words just now must have been a joke. But in the end, not only did she tell the superstar Li Hang to get lost, but Li Hang refused. She actually took out a knife from her pocket and cut Li Hang's wrist. That wasn't all. She even stepped on Li Hang's wrist. Oh my God, this could kill someone. Wasn't she afraid that someone would die? And the person being stepped on was the superstar Li Hang. Everyone present was scared silly. Even the bodyguards and his female manager who were supposed to rush up to protect, Li Hang stood rooted to the ground in a daze. They were so overwhelmed by Yun Jian's aura that they didn't dare to move. Feeling that the blood in his body was flowing out at a rapid rate, and that no one around him dared to come and save him, Li Hang was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He was interested in Yun Jian, and this was purely on the premise that his safety could be guaranteed. But now, his safety couldn't even be guaranteed. Li Hang was extremely regretful now. He didn't expect Yun Jian to be so fierce. Last time, he had broken his wrist, which had scared Li Hang to the core. But this time, he originally thought that Yun Jian would be easier to deal with because she was a girl. But who would have thought that she was even more ruthless than Ce? This attack was meant to take his life. If the blood in his body ran out, even a god wouldn't be able to save him. I was wrong. Please let me go. Let me go. It's my fault. I'm a pig. I didn't know what was good for me and wanted to hit on you. Feeling the blood in his body flowing out rapidly, Li Hang was scared. He couldn't care about anything else. He just wanted to live. So, regardless of how many reporters and fans were still looking at him, Li Hang begged Yunjian for mercy in a cowardly tone. Seeing Li Hang beg Yunjian for mercy in such a cowardly tone, the surrounding fans, including the female agent and the bodyguards, were all stunned. Li Hang had a handsome face, and later became famous because he played a rather handsome role in a movie. He had always been sought after by fans. But now, where did the handsome man in the movie go? Everyone present suffered a heavy blow. Yunjian raised her eyebrows. She was not surprised at all. After hearing Li Hang's pleas for mercy, just as Li Hang was about to faint from excessive blood loss, Yunjian released her foot from Li Hang's wrist. He left behind a sentence that made Li Hang tremble with fear. "The next time I see you, I won't be wiping your wrist, but your throat." Yunjian didn't hold back at all, so everyone present was dumbfounded as they watched Yunjian leave. Yunjian left quickly. Li Hang had not fainted yet. He was carefully helped up by his female agent. From now on, Li Hang's image in the hearts of his fans would definitely take a hit. Just as Li Hang was helped up and was about to be sent to the hospital, one of the onlookers suddenly recalled something. Looking at Yunjian's disappearing back, he exclaimed in shock, "That's right. I remember now. She was the young lady who snatched the saber and killed the thugs when the mall was invaded by a few robbers half a year ago, causing a stir in Longmen City." Chapter 11:08. When the person recounted how Yunjian had killed the thugs, his voice trembled. Therefore, when these words were heard by everyone present, it was as if their hair stood on end and they were horrified. That young lady just now was the one who caused a commotion in Longmen City half a year ago? Someone asked loudly with his mouth agape. The person who had just spoken of this matter immediately agreed with him. "It's true. I was at the scene when the thugs charged at us. You guys didn't see it, so you don't know. There was a woman who threw the young lady's mother to the thugs. Hey, guess what happened? The young lady was fighting with another thug, but when she saw that her mother was in danger, she killed the thug and blocked the knife that was coming at her mother with her hand. TSK. That tender hand was cut and blood was still dripping. She didn't even blink. She was like an assassin agent who wasn't afraid of pain at all. She rushed up and killed all the other gangsters. She really scared us out of our wits. That ruthlessness didn't seem like a teenage girl at all." When the person saw that everyone was listening to him, even the celebrity, Li Hang, was looking at him, he spoke more enthusiastically. Everyone present was dumbfounded when they heard what the person said. No wonder Yunjian said what she did just now. No wonder she dared to hurt Li Hang. Why would she be afraid of him when she could even kill someone? Li Hang felt a shudder run through him. The female manager beside him had already covered the wound on his wrist. The blood had stopped flowing. Once he thought of Yunjian's ruthlessness just now, he felt a chill run down his spine. She had actually killed someone. She actually knew how to kill. Li Hang was suddenly glad that Yunjian had let him go just now. Li Hang had just calmed down a little when someone else seized the opportunity to bring up the matter again. Since he was aware of it himself, he continued, "My dad has a friend who works in the police station. The incident back then was a big deal. I heard that the young lady has some status in the military. She seems to be a special forces soldier. Her specific identity is kept secret by the higher-ups, so she could be considered to have acted impartially by killing him." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was completely dumbfounded. Was that little girl from the military? At such a young age, he was actually a soldier. If those present knew that Yunjian was the famous slashing god from Team Monarch, they would probably have gone crazy and chased after Yunjian for her autograph. The celebrity Li Hang was well known, but in Longmen City, Yunjian's Team Monarch's slashing god was even more famous than celebrities in the entertainment industry. She was really good at it. At the same time, Yunjian, who was capable of real combat, had returned home, a home that belonged to her and Ce. It was only a 3-minute walk from here to Yunjian's house. Although this place was secretly built by Ce behind Yunjian's back, Junjian knew about it right from the start. Considering that Yunjian did not want to be too far away from Qinyiru, Ce had discussed with Junjian when he built this place, and even got Gu Junjian to give up an empty plot of land in his villa. From here to Gu Yunjian's house, one could take a shortcut to Gu Yunjian's villa through the side door. It was also due to Gu Yunjian's strong support that C.E. could build his and Yunjian's villa not far away from Gu Yunjian's house. It was convenient to walk there as well. Yunjian put down her bag. C.E. was not at home at the moment, so she went to Gu Yunjian's house. Just as she reached Gu Yunjian's house, she saw Qin Yuru doing chores inside. Qin Yuru was stunned when she saw Yunjian before asking, "Didn't A.E. come back with you?" Chapter 1109. Yunjian could not help twitching the corners of her lips at Qin Yuru's words. She was her biological daughter, right? Why was Qin Yuru nagging about C.E. instead of worrying about her when she stepped into the house? "He's gone out," Yunjian said after a pause despite what she thought. "I see." Qin Yuru did not stop mopping the floor. It had been a while since they got married. Gu Xian had gone back to school overseas after the wedding. Now that Qin Yuru was nourished by love, her complexion were much better than before. "Xiao Jian, dinner's ready. Let's wait for E to come home before we eat," Qin Yuru said as she came over after mopping the floor and wiping her wet hands. "Okay." Yunjian nodded. Xiao Yunzhu and the others were playing upstairs, so Qin Yuru had nothing to do after mopping the floor. Hence, she went to Yunjian. "Hey, Xiao Jian, how's A.E. getting along with you now?" Qin Yuru asked as she held Yunjian's hand. "It's pretty good," Yunjian answered after a pause. It was almost 3 days before the middle school exams, but Qin Yuru was not like other mothers who were worried about Yunjian's results. On the contrary, she did not mention anything about the results. A is someone worth trusting. You can hold on to him tightly. Don't let him run away. Qin Yuru said earnestly and looked at Yunjian with a gaze that she had never shown before. Yunjian was a little stunned by Qin Yuru's stare. "Mom, I know," Yunjian replied. "A.E.'s already 20. He's a man, so there's always a need for puberty. Xiao Jian, don't throw a tantrum. I think A.E.'s a good kid, even if... Anyway, the two of you are going to be married in the future. If there's anything before marriage, it's fine as long as you take proper protective measures. It will be fine. It's fine if she gets pregnant. After she gives birth, I'll have nothing to do. It'll be more fun raising a child." Qin Yuru thought that C.E. had already slept with Yunjian, and now Yunjian was living under the same roof as C.E. There are only the two of them in the house. Of course, Qin Yuru knew C.E.'s character, so she said those words. It could be said that Qin Yuru already treated C.E. as her son-in-law. In spite of it, Yunjian's cheeks were as red as an apple when she heard Qin Yuru's words. She did not expect Qin Yuru to say something like that to her. Yunjian could kill without batting an eyelid and be fearless in the face of danger. Yet, she blushed when she heard such things. When Qin Yuru saw that Yunjian did not say anything, she spoke even more enthusiastically. It was only when C.E. entered the house that Qin Yuru stopped talking. Gu Junjian was busy with military matters now, so sometimes he did not even come home. Qin Yuru could understand that. Qin Yuru stopped talking when she saw C.E. Then, Qin Yuru called Xiao Yunzhu and the others down to have dinner around the table. Before returning to her and C.E.'s private villa, Qin Yuru mysteriously called C.E. out for a few minutes. She did not allow Yunjian to listen in. When they returned to her and C.E.'s home, Yunjian turned to look at C.E. and asked, "What did my mom say to you just now? Do you want to know?" C.E. curled his handsome lips mysteriously and said. Yunjian nodded her head. Just as she nodded, C.E. pulled her into his embrace. Then, he turned sideways and whispered something into Yunjian's ear. Yunjian's face instantly turned red when she heard this. Chapter 1110. When you do it, make sure it's dirty. Yunjian blushed at what Qin Yuru said to C.E. C.E. smiled at the sight before cupping Yunjian's cheeks and kissing her. C.E. only gave Yunjian a peck. He did not do anything else. His Xiao Jian was still young. 3 days passed in a flash, and the senior high school entrance exam came as promised. The day of the senior high school entrance exam was unusually hot, probably the hottest day since the new year. In spite of it, the students persevered through the 3 days of senior high school entrance exam. Yunjian was always the first to finish the senior high school entrance exam. The other students were afraid that they would perform poorly during the exam, so they checked their papers multiple times. What about Yunjian? She did not even have to check her papers after she was done. Just as the 3 days of exams ended, Chun Sini, Zhang Xiaofeng, Ling Yichen, and Zhang Jian could finally relax from their hard work. Once the exams were over, the students packed up all their belongings in school and brought them home. The end of the senior high school entrance exam meant that Yun Jian and the others had their break 2 weeks earlier than their usual summer break. Of course, they still had to make a trip back to school when the results of the senior high school entrance exam were released. Their classmates were about to enter different senior high schools. It was their parents who came to school to help carry the huge pile of textbooks. On the day after school ended, C.E. drove over to help Yun Jian. C.E. returned to an Hun group the next day. Taking advantage of the break, Yun Jian carried a small travel bag with a lot of things and left for Min City early in the morning. Yun Jian went alone. Of course, she was going to Min City purely because she had promised Chu Ning and the others that she would go for a vacation. Since the summer break was not here yet, Yun Jian had her break 2 weeks earlier than usual, so Chu Ning and the others were still in school. When Yun Jian arrived, she directly called Chu Xiangnan, who had a mobile phone. Chu Ning and the others were still in class. When they heard that Yun Jian was coming over, they immediately sent Chu Ning to the entrance of the military academy to pick up Yun Jian. Originally, outsiders were not allowed to enter the military academy, but Chu Ning had talked to the guard for a long time. In the end, when the guard found out that Yun Jian was part of the next batch of students to be admitted, he finally let her in. "Phew, I finally brought you in." Chu Ning wiped the sweat off her forehead and led Yun Jian to the military academy's training field. The other 5 members of Team Monarch were training on the field. Hearing Chu Ning's words, Yun Jian stared at Chu Ning for a few seconds, then pulled away the red arc and sighed. "You've gotten darker." Chu Ning was stunned for a moment before she realized that Yun Jian was talking about her. She even patted Yun Jian on the shoulder and said with a laugh, "Don't say it out loud." Then, Chu Ning brought Yun Jian to the field. After meeting up with the other members of Team Monarch, the group sat on the field that stretched as far as the eye could see, basking in the scorching sun. "We don't have classes at night. Yun Jian, where do you want to go? Do you want to walk around the streets of Min City? Or do you want to walk around our school first?" Chu Xiangnan said with a laugh. "Don't interrupt. Silly Chu Xiangnan." Chu Ning snickered at Chu Xiangnan. That was a new nickname she came up with for Chu Xiangnan. Chu Nan. Yun Jian pursed her lips and smiled. Just as the group of people were laughing and making a ruckus, a sarcastic voice came from behind them. "Yo, isn't this our famous Team Monarch? Huh, where did this little beauty come from?" Hearing that, Yun Jian turned around with Chu Ning and the others to see a ruffian boy taunting Chu Ning and the others while trying to flirt with Yun Jian. Chapter 11:11. This ruffian was the guy from the Invincible Gang whom Chu Ning and the others had mentioned to Yun Jian when they returned to Xinjiang town. The guy was just an errand boy for the Invincible Gang named Peng Jingwei. Peng Jingwei and everyone in the Invincible Gang were proud to be a part of the gang. That was because the Invincible Gang had a super powerful existence. Chu Ning had mentioned this super powerful person to Yun Jian before. She said that Chu Ning and the others were no match for that super powerful person, even when they teamed up. Other than Jiang Weiwei, everyone else was defeated. Even Jiang Weiwei was almost injured. One had to know that Jiang Weiwei was not weak. She was ranked 2nd in Team Monarch in terms of strength. However, even when she and Chu Ning and the others teamed up, they could not defeat that person from the Invincible Gang. One could only imagine how powerful that person was. It was precisely because they had such a powerful member who could wipe out Team Monarch, a team that was rumored to be so amazing, that the Invincible Gang could be so fearless. Take Peng Jingwei, for example. He was just an errand boy for the Invincible Gang, but he dared to speak to Chu Ning and the others in such a tone. It was all because the Invincible Gang had that person who defeated Chu Ning and the others alone. The Invincible Gang was extremely smug now. Peng Jingwei was indeed arrogant. He thought that the Invincible Gang was really invincible. Therefore, when he saw the Team Monarch members sitting on the field, he could not help but want to rush over and taunt them. However, he did not expect to see Yun Jian among the Team Monarch members. Peng Jingwei was stunned. There was actually such a beautiful girl in this world. Moreover, she was different from those girls and women who relied on makeup and fashionable clothes on the streets. Yun Jian's beauty was pure and natural. Peng Jingwei was completely mesmerized. That was why he leaned over to hit on her. Logically speaking, after hearing what Peng Jingwei said, Chu Ning should have hurled insults at him on the spot. However, after hearing what Peng Jingwei said, Chu Ning snorted. Chu Ning burst out laughing. Of all people, Peng Jingwei had to say that Team Monarch was trash to Yun Jian. It was as if he was telling the strongest boss of Team Monarch that his team was trash and that he should leave with him. After laughing, Chu Ning pursed her lips and turned to Yun Jian. After a while, she said, "Ignore him. He's trash himself." Chu Ning and the others were used to the Invincible Gang's mockery. They couldn't be bothered with the people from the Invincible Gang now. In private, they trained as hard as they could in order to improve their skills so that they could defeat the people from the Invincible Gang. Just as Chu Ning finished speaking and Yun Jian ignored him, Peng Jingwei panicked. I say, your Team Monarch is so trashy. Don't bring the beauty with you guys, Peng Jingwei said as he turned his sly gaze to Yun Jian. Little beauty, aren't you blind to be with trash like Team Monarch when you're so pretty? Come with me. I'm from the Invincible Gang. It's the best team in our military school. Hey, what do you think? Peng Jingwei said. He even wanted to reach out his hand that was as ugly as a black man's to hold Yun Jian's hand. Yun Jian frowned in disgust. She sat on the grass and did a light flip to avoid Peng Jingwei's hand. Under Peng Jingwei's watchful gaze, she stood up and sneered. If my Team Monarch is trash, your Invincible Gang is worse than trash. Peng Jingwei shuddered at the mention of Team Monarch. What did she say? Chapter 11-12. She's from Team Monarch? Peng Jingwei's eyes widened in shock. There were 7 members in Team Monarch, and Chu Ning and the other 5 were already enrolled in the military academy. Due to his frequent encounters with Chu Ning and the other 5, Peng Jingwei had completely overlooked the fact that Team Monarch had a powerful slashing god. In Peng Jingwei's subconscious mind, there were only 6 members in Team Monarch, and these 6 were the ones who had been beaten to a pulp by the Invincible Gang's leader. With Yun Jian's appearance today, Peng Jingwei had assumed that she was one of the Team Monarch's relatives who had come to Min City for a vacation after the midterms. That was why he had said what he had said earlier. Who would have thought that Yun Jian would say something like Team Monarch? If she was from Team Monarch, could she be the most powerful slashing god in Team Monarch? With her frail and weak body? Uft. Did you hear that? Don't compare Team Monarch with your trashy Invincible Gang. Invincible Gang, what a country bumpkin name. Get the hell away from me as soon as possible. What's there to be smug about? Chu Ning patted her, but to get rid of the grass that stuck to her pants on the lawn. She stood up and walked to Yun Jian's side to wrap her arm around Yun Jian's shoulder as she sneered at Peng Jingwei. One could lose in terms of strength, but not in terms of confidence. This sentence was verified by Chu Ning. Chu Ning's words were bold. Just as Chu Ning finished her sentence, Chu Xiangnan, who was sitting on the ground, stood up and walked to Peng Jingwei. Peng Jingwei was a grown man with a height of only 6 meters. Chu Xiangnan's height was enough to look down on him. Get lost, you F***er. What bullsh** T, Invincible Gang. I think you should just change your name to Trash Gang. Chu Xiangnan continued Chu Ning's words and yelled at Peng Jingwei. As he yelled, Chu Xiangnan even clenched his fist at Peng Jingwei, his knuckles cracking. Seeing Chu Xiangnan gesturing at him like that, Peng Jingwei gulped in fright. The only reason he could be so smug was because he was a member of the Invincible Gang. Peng Jingwei himself was not that capable. Therefore, when Chu Xiangnan gestured at him, he was so scared that he took 3 steps back. Then, he pointed at Chu Xiangnan and the others and threatened them in an exaggerated tone. Just you wait." After saying that, Peng Jingwei was so scared that he turned and ran away. "Ha! You're such a coward." Perhaps it was because Yun Jian and all 7 members of Team Monarch were present, but Chu Xiangnan felt much more confident. He laughed out loud when he saw Peng Jingwei running away. Chu Xiangnan even flashed his middle finger at the spot where Peng Jingwei had fallen. After that, he turned to look at Yun Jian. He patted his chest with a laugh and asked, "What do you think, Yun Jian? Was I particularly domineering just now?" When Chu Ning heard that, she also rushed to say, "He's not as good as me." Then, the two of them stared at Yun Jian's glittering eyes, waiting for her comment. However, Yun Jian's eyes flickered. She curled her lips slightly, then calmly said, "Very naughty." After hearing Yun Jian's comment, Jiang Weiwei laughed out loud. Apart from Chu Ning and Chu Xiaonan's group of clowns, the others laughed. At the side of a small path near a small forest in the school, a group of youthful boys and girls were standing there. All of them sat obediently on the grass, talking to a girl who was standing high above. It felt like a group of gang members were having a gathering. Suddenly, a figure rushed over recklessly. Chapter 11:13. Peng Jingwei paused when he heard the girl's low growl. Then, he slowly walked over. It was obvious that this girl held a high position in the Invincible gang. "Miss Chi, I saw something incredible just now, so I want to come back quickly to report it to you. That's why I left so quickly," Peng Jingwei said. Just as he said this, the girl called Chi Si interrupted him. All right, hurry up and say it. What incredible thing." This girl was called Gu Chi Si. She was the only daughter of the big boss of Min City's coal industry. She was a well-known figure in the military academy. This identity, coupled with her innate arrogance, made everyone present dare not speak up even if they were angry. They could only submit to her. At the same time, the reason why everyone present listened to this girl was purely because Gu Chi Si was not only the vice president of the Invincible Gang, but more importantly, she was also the younger sister of the Invincible Gang's president. Of course, Gu Chi Si was not the biological sister of the Invincible Gang's president, but the daughter of the Invincible Gang's president's family. To put it bluntly, she was the daughter of her father's business friend. As for the president of the Invincible Gang, he was also the strongest president of the Invincible Gang that Chu Ning said had defeated Chu Ning and 6 others single-handedly. His name was Duan Xinchen. Now, the Invincible Gang still looked like a proper gang, like a cult. Everyone in the Invincible Gang sat on the lawn, listening to the Vice President Gu Chi Si's teachings. After being interrupted by Gu Chi Si, Peng Jingwei hurriedly told her what had happened. Initially, when he mentioned Yun Jian, Peng Jingwei did not think that she was the killing god of Team Monarch. When Gu Chi Si and the rest of the Invincible Gang heard Peng Jingwei's words, they did not think that Yun Jian had anything to do with Team Monarch. However, when he mentioned Yun Jian's appearance, Peng Jingwei even made a very righteous comparison. "That beauty, TSK, I've never seen such a beautiful girl in my life." As he said that, Peng Jingwei was intoxicated. Hearing this, Gu Chi Si was a girl herself. She was very dissatisfied and asked with a hint of jealousy, "Is she really that beautiful? What about me?" It was just a casual remark, but he did not expect Peng Jingwei to recall Yun Jian's beauty the moment he opened his mouth. He could not help but blurt out, "They're not on the same level. Her beauty is really..." Before he could finish, Gu Chizi kicked Peng Jingwei away. Fuming, she led a group of people to Yun Jian's side, grumbling angrily, "What the hell? I want to see just how beautiful she is." Yun Jian had no idea that someone was leading dozens of people and was angrily rushing towards her. As it turned out, a girl's jealousy was terrifying. This was especially true for girls who were in puberty. They could develop to the point of no return just because of a small matter. At this moment, Yun Jian had already followed Chu Ning and the others to the military academy's canteen. It was already noon, time for lunch. In high school, one could order their own food and pay by swiping their card. Yun Jian was a guest, so of course, Chu Ning and the others fought to treat her. Looking at the big lunchbox that Chu Ning had ordered for her, consisting of 4 to 5 servings of meat and 2 to 3 servings of vegetarian food, Yun Jian paused. For ordinary students, they would order at most 1 meat and 1 vegetarian dish. Hee, let's eat. Chu Ning extended her chopsticks and called out. Then, she dug into the food in her lunchbox. During lunch, Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan kept talking to Yun Jian about the Invincible Gang. Yun Jian, you don't know this, but the Invincible Gang formed this gang because of us, Team Monarch. Heh, they didn't have a gang name at first. In the end, because Team Monarch had a name, they followed suit. Chapter 11:14. Chu Ning said with great interest. She even laughed a few times as she spoke. The Invincible Gang did not form a gang. When Chu Ning and the rest first entered the school, Gu Qixi's gang got into a fight with Chu Ning and the rest. They were even beaten up by Chu Ning and the rest. They thought that after being beaten up, Gu Qixi's gang would not dare to cause trouble again. Who would have thought that Gu Qixi would ask Duan Qinshun, a senior who was in his 2nd year and about to enter his 3rd year, to help? Duan Qinshun had been in the military school for almost 2 years. In addition, he was a martial artist who had been trained since he was young. It was said that he had learned martial arts from a martial arts master, so he was even more powerful. Chu Ning and the rest fought with Duan Qinshun openly and lost. In the end, the 6 of them were no match for Duan Qinshun. Since then, Gu Qixi's gang started to show off. With Gu Qixi as the leader, they started the current Invincible Gang. Gu Qixi even made Duan Qinshun the president of the Invincible Gang and recruited people from the military school. This was done in a hurry. However, Gu Qixi and the rest started the Invincible Gang purely because Chu Ning and the rest had a team monarch. They felt that Chu Ning and the rest had a team, and that sounded cool, so they started a gang too. They're just following the trend and foolishly following us. They don't even know if they're authentic. Ha! Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan spoke one after another and recounted everything that had happened in the military school. Yun Jian, don't you think so? At the end of her story, Chu Ning looked at Yun Jian, who was sitting opposite her. She took a bite of lean meat and said with a grin. Yun Jian pursed her lips and smiled faintly. She indeed felt that what Chu Ning said about the Invincible Gang was a little funny. It felt like children playing house. However, after Yun Jian pursed her lips and smiled faintly, she said, "Let's eat." She had just scooped up a mouthful of bean and was about to put it in her mouth when she suddenly raised her eyebrows. Bam! Bang! 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 The sound of tables and chairs being overturned came from behind. After a pause, an unpleasant female voice came from behind. Did your team monarch bully our Invincible Gang's Peng Jingwei? Do you have a death wish? Do you think you haven't been beaten up enough by the Invincible Gang? If you want to cause trouble, you have to find a good reason. Gu Qixi took advantage of the fact that Peng Jingwei had been chased away by Chu Xiangnan to stir up trouble. Most of the students in the military academy were male, and all of them were quite strong. Therefore, when they saw Gu Qixi leading a group of people to surround the Team Monarch members, not only were they not afraid, but they even squeezed over, intending to watch the show. F***CK. Where do we bully that guy? He was the one who didn't have eyes and rushed over to criticize my Yun Jian. Chu Ning was angered by Gu Qixi's words and immediately slammed the table and stood up. Team Monarch is just a loser to us. We don't need to F***CK with you. Gu Qixi heard Chu Ning's words. She could not see Yun Jian's face, but she could see Yun Jian's slender figure. Jealousy welled up in her, and she could not help but open her mouth to spew hatefully. Just as Gu Qixi finished saying Team Monarch is a loser to us, Yun Jian, who had her back to Gu Qixi, suddenly flung the spoon in her hand away and stood up abruptly. The metal spoon that Yun Jian flung away flew not far away and actually pierced into the wooden dining table right under everyone's eyes. Pierced into the wood. The spoon actually pierced into the dining table with a fling. How strong was this girl's wrist? Everyone on the scene was shocked. However, Yun Jian, who had her back to Gu Qixi, turned around slowly and met Gu Qi-Si's eyes with her slightly raised lips. She spoke in a strange female voice. Chapter 11:15. Yun Jian's frivolous words and her strange moves gave everyone in the Invincible Gang, led by Gu Qizi, a fright, including the students having lunch in the canteen. Ever since Duan Qinshan from the Invincible Gang defeated the 6 members of Team Monarch and formed the current Invincible Gang, no one in the military academy dared to challenge the Invincible Gang. Duan Qinshan's battle could be said to have made a name for himself. Therefore, even if Duan Qinshan was not often in the Invincible Gang, the students in the military academy did not dare to provoke them. Yun Jian's actions just now had shocked everyone, partly because of her strange moves, and partly because, why was this pretty girl so angry when she heard Gu Qi-Si say that Team Monarch was a defeated team? She was not even a member of Team Monarch, so why did she act as if she was? Yun Jian, well said, we're on your side. Chu Ning shouted when she heard that. That's right. Chu Xiangnan and the other members of Team Monarch agreed. When Gu Qizi saw Yun Jian's beautiful face, she was indeed filled with jealousy, especially when she recalled what Peng Jingwei said just now. Gu Qizi had the urge to get rid of Yun Jian. Therefore, Gu Qizi clenched her fists and glared at Yun Jian. After 2 seconds of silence, she said angrily, "Ha, you're just bluffing." Hey, it's just a bluff. Team Monarch is a loser. Everyone has seen it with their own eyes. Besides, you're an outsider. What right do you have to criticize us? Gu Qizi wanted to curse Yun Jian, but she held it in. She felt that compared to insulting Yun Jian directly, it was more important to maintain her image as a lady. You don't believe me, do you? Yun Jian crossed her arms. She lifted one leg and easily placed it on a table in the canteen. Then, she extended her slender index finger and hooked it at Gu Qizi. Let's fight if you're not convinced. Today, I'll show you trash from the trash gang what it means to be defeated. Yun Jian said, tilting her head. Her disdainful tone made Gu Qizi and the others' eyelids twitch. When Gu Qizi came back to her senses, she almost charged at Yun Jian, wanting to tear Yun Jian into pieces. What did she say? Did she say that the Invincible Gang was trash? She even said that the Invincible Gang was trash? Gu Qizi was shaking with rage. Unable to hold herself back, she was about to charge at Yun Jian when she was interrupted by Yun Jian. At the main entrance of the cafeteria, a well-proportioned and good-looking boy walked in with his back to Gu Qi-Si. This boy's looks were not bad, and his silhouette was quite handsome. However, when this young man of about 17 or 18 walked in, the surrounding girls screamed, Duan Qinshan, Duan Duan Duan, Duan Duan Qian. Duan Qian had a lot of support in the military academy. Ever since he defeated the 6 members of Team Monarch single-handedly, his reputation grew. When Gu Qizi heard that her savior had arrived, she quickly turned and ran to Duan Qian's side. Then, she reached out and grabbed Duan Qian's arm. She said coquettishly, Brother Chun, someone bullied me. It's her. It's her. Hearing Gu Qizi's voice, Duan Qian frowned and turned to look. He happened to see the girl standing in front with her arms crossed. His slightly furrowed brows suddenly loosened. The moment he saw Yun Jian, his eyes lit up. Chapter 11:16. Duan Qinshan was a rather cold boy. He looked as if he did not care about anyone or anything. It was precisely because of his cold personality that Gu Qi-Si was so infatuated with him and liked him so much. Although Gu Qi-Si and Duan Qinshan's relationship was because their parents were best friends and the 2 families were business partners who interacted with each other. However, just because Gu Qi-Si liked Duan Qinshan did not mean that Duan Qinshan liked Gu Qi-Si. On the contrary, Duan Qinshan was annoyed by Gu Qi-Si, but he did not say it out loud. The moment Duan Qinshan saw Yun Jian, his eyes lit up. Yun Jian crossed her arms as she scanned Duan Qinshan. Her slightly curved lips, her fair and smooth skin that was as delicate as a newborn baby's, and her delicate and beautiful face. There was no man present who would not be attracted to Yun Jian, especially in this military academy where there were more boys than girls, even an ugly girl would be worshipped to the heavens, let alone a delicate girl like Yunjian. Gu Qixi saw Duan Xinchen sizing up Yunjian and became even angrier. She forced herself to resist the urge to rush up and kill Yunjian. She held Duan Xinchen's arm and shook it, then said in an even more coquettish tone, "Brother Duan Xinchen, you bullied your sister. Brother Chun, she just bullied your little sister Qi Si. Aren't you going to avenge her?" The moment Gu Qixi called her sister Qi Si, everyone around them got goosebumps. Yunjian also frowned subtly. Who bullied who? Gu Qixi, don't be the first to complain. TSK, how disgusting. Chu Ning retorted rudely. Just as Chu Ning finished speaking, Duan Xinchen let go of Gu Qixi's hand and walked over to Yunjian. Seeing this, Gu Qixi smiled slightly. She knew that her brother Chun would help her. However, just as Gu Qixi thought this, Duan Xinchen stood in front of Yunjian and asked Yunjian with a hint of indifference, "What's your name?" Yunjian crossed her arms and glanced at Duan Xinchen. In terms of aura, she did not lose to Duan Xinchen at all. "You don't need to know, because I never tell trash my surname." Yunjian's words made everyone around her stop for a moment. Was she crazy? Did she know who was standing in front of her? He was the legendary figure who defeated the 6 members of Team Monarch single-handedly, Duan Xinchen, who was even known as the Young God of War. When Duan Xinchen heard Yunjian's words, he raised his eyebrows and looked at Yunjian in what he thought was a cool pose. He said in a muffled voice, "Ha, interesting." Just as he finished speaking, someone pointed at the door and shouted, "Ah, the instructor is here." Hearing this, everyone looked up. Yunjian also turned to look at the entrance of the cafeteria. She saw a tall and burly man in his 30s hurrying into the cafeteria with several instructors in tow. Yunjian narrowed her eyes slightly. The man in the lead was Yu Xiaoluo, a good comrade whom Gu Junjian had invited to a banquet. Yu Xiaoluo was leading the way with several instructors in tow. Just as they arrived, Yu Xiaoluo looked at Yun Jian delightedly. "Why didn't you tell us that you're coming to our military academy? Otherwise, we would have come to entertain you." Yu Xiaoluo was one of the strictest instructors in the military academy. Hence, the moment he said that, everyone was stunned. Who was she? Why did the instructors have to entertain her now that she was here? "Instructor, she was brought into our school by Team Monarch without permission. Our school doesn't allow outsiders. Are you going to punish Team Monarch?" Seeing that the instructor had arrived, Gu Qixi did not know what was good for her and asked. Just as she said that, Yu Xiaoluo frowned at Gu Qixi and snapped, "Punishment my ass. She's Team Monarch's slashing god and will be attending our school next semester. She's one of us." As soon as he said this, everyone present was stunned with fear. What? Chapter 11:17. Everyone present was stunned. After all, in their minds, Yunjian was so beautiful that her skin was so smooth that it could be broken with a snap of the fingers. She was completely different from a Special Forces soldier. Usually, girls who could become advanced Special Forces soldiers were either tanned to the point that they looked like charcoal or ugly women without any salt. What about Yunjian? From the moment everyone saw her, they thought that she must be some rich young lady who did not do any household chores. From her aura and the feeling she gave off, that was the case. However, when Yu Xiaoluo and the other instructors appeared, and Yu Xiaoluo's rather courteous tone towards Yunjian, everyone present was completely shocked. While they were shocked, they were also shocked and terrified. Yunjian, a girl who looked so delicate and weak, was actually Team Monarch's famous slashing god. She was Team Monarch's slashing god, the one who had caused the instructors to fight over her to join their team some time ago. Gu Qixi had initially said those words to Yu Xiaoluo because she wanted to use the excuse of Chu Ning bringing Yunjian, an outsider, into their school to get Yu Xiaoluo to punish Yunjian properly. However, who would have thought that instead of getting Yu Xiaoluo to scold Team Monarch, she would be the one being scolded instead. Moreover, he had learned of an incredible matter. Yunjian was actually Team Monarch's slashing god. Gu Qixi's mouth, which was already slightly agape, dropped even further. As for the group from Invincible Gang, including Duan Qinshan, they were completely dumbfounded. All of them looked at the scene unfolding before them in disbelief. Compared to Gu Qi-Si's group, as well as the horrified expressions of the students who were watching the show, Chu Ning and the others had relaxed expressions. "Yeah, my Yunjian is amazing." Chu Ning stood beside Yunjian. She glanced sideways at Yunjian's flawless face and said. As Chu Ning spoke, she gave Gu Qizi a provocative look. There was a hidden smirk in his eyes that said, "Now you have nothing to say, right?" Gu Qi-Si had always been a competitive girl. When she caught a glimpse of Chu Ning's gaze, she felt even angrier. Although she had just expressed a strong shock at Yun Jian's identity, Gu Qi-Si was never a person who was willing to be at a disadvantage. To put it bluntly, he would not shed a tear until he saw the coffin. Gu Qi-Si first snorted coldly. Then she sized up Yun Jian from head to toe. Yun Jian's frail body was on the verge of collapsing. She gave off the impression that she was a fragile girl, especially when her favorite Chingij was staring at Yun Jian intently. The adoration in his gaze was obvious. Gu Qi-Si was even more annoyed. "Sir, is she really the legendary slashing god from Team Monarch?" The other 6 members of Team Monarch were all defeated by my brother Chen alone. Moreover, a girl's strength is always weaker than a guy's. With that frail body of hers, is she really the slashing god from Team Monarch? Gu Qi-Si looked at Yu Shaoluo. Her tone of suspicion and anger toward Yun Jian was obvious to everyone present. Yu Shaoluo was stunned, but he quickly reacted. He looked at Yun Jian and said to Gu Qi-Si with unusual firmness, "If it wasn't her, who else in this world could have wiped out the most powerful Flying Sky gang in Country X's H Province's underground black market all by herself? And who could have gathered the Kosha mercenaries and an Hun group to join forces with the Zhe Province's army to completely wipe out the international assassin group, Inferno Ring?" Chapter 11:18. Why was Team Monarch's slashing god so famous? Most of the people present only knew of Team Monarch's slashing god and had heard of her name before. However, what they knew about Team Monarch's slashing god was limited. Some of them even knew of Team Monarch's slashing god title, but it was only limited to the time when a few of the instructors fought over her and ended up being caught by the chief instructor and scolded harshly. Yun Jian's previous feat was not known in Min City Military School. Moreover, the students had no way of knowing about it. They only knew that Team Monarch's slashing god was powerful, but no one knew how powerful she was. It was the same for Gu Qizi. Her Invincible Gang had no idea how powerful Team Monarch's slashing god was, which was why they provoked the other 6 members of Team Monarch. As for Duan Qinshan, he looked indifferent and did not like Gu Qizi, but he did not refuse when Gu Qizi asked him to take on the 6 members of Team Monarch. Moreover, not only did Duan Qinshan not refuse, he defeated the 6 members of Team Monarch right away, not giving them any face as classmates. When the 6 members of Team Monarch were defeated by Duan Qinshan, although Duan Qinshan did not come out to ridicule them, he made Chu Ning and the others suffer from the ridicule of their classmates. Moreover, Duan Qinshan maintained his cold personality and pretended to be a handsome man of few words. Duan Qinshan's strength was not bad, which was why he liked to pretend to be a mysterious person. Of course, before Yun Jian appeared, Duan Qinshan's mysterious facade was quite successful. However, the moment Yu Shaoluo finished talking about Yun Jian's legendary experience, Duan Qinshan's pretentious face froze completely. He did not expect that the girl he fell in love with at first sight would actually annihilate an entire gang alone. She had gathered 2 of the world's top assassin organizations to annihilate the internationally renowned Inferno Ring. This was really done by an underage girl? What? How is this possible? Instructor, are you kidding us? I heard that Inferno Ring was annihilated by our Zhe Province's army, right? How could it be her? Gu Qi-Si was frightened by Yu Shaoluo's words. She raised her hands in disbelief and stared at Yun Jian, who was standing not too far away, in horror. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and looked over with a sneer. Seeing Gu Qi-Si looking at her, Yun Jian revealed a strange smile. This smile made Gu Qixi shiver. Gu Qixi quickly retracted her gaze and looked at Yu Xiaoluo. She hoped to hear from Yu Xiaoluo that he had made a mistake and that such a powerful person was not Yun Jian. However, before Yu Xiaoluo could make a sound, Yun Jian snatched the right to speak. Yun Jian was standing not far away. She suddenly stopped smiling and looked at them with her clear eyes. Then, she said indifferently, "If it wasn't me, could it be you, trash?" Yun Jian's words, coupled with her cold and beautiful face, made everyone stare at her for a few seconds. Gu Qixi was shocked by Yun Jian's rhetorical question. She already disliked Yun Jian. Now, Yun Jian's words made Gu Qixi even angrier. "You, why are you so arrogant? Be careful, or I'll let my brother Chun beat you until you have to look for your teeth on the floor." Right after Gu Qixi said that, Yun Jian's knuckles cracked as she strode toward them and uttered a rousing statement. Chapter 11:19. As Yun Jian spoke, she was already walking towards Gu Qixi. The Invincible Gang bullied her team, Monarch members. Did they really think they could sit back and relax? Yun Jian's personality had always been like this. Don't blame her for being heartless. Today's incident, even if the Invincible Gang did not come looking for trouble, the Invincible Gang's president, Duan Xinshan, had beaten up Chu Ning and the others in front of the entire school, causing them to lose face. Just based on this incident alone, Yun Jian would never let the Invincible Gang off. Yun Jian. Seeing Yun Jian walk over, Chu Ning was extremely touched. The 6 members of Team Monarch had never asked Yun Jian to avenge them. Even if they had a strong teammate like Yun Jian, after being beaten up by the Invincible Gang's Duan Xinshan and losing face in front of the entire school, Team Monarch's first instinct was to fight back. The first reaction of Chu Ning and the others was to train their skills as hard as they could, wanting to win with their own strength. Of course, this was different from Yun Jian taking the initiative to avenge Chu Ning and the others. Yun Jian had already planned for this. Who would dare to touch her? Yun Jian's people. "You, what are you trying to do?" Gu Qixi was so shocked by Yun Jian's sudden move that she stopped in her tracks. She took a few steps back. With this step, Gu Qixi almost sprained her ankle and fell down. However, Gu Qixi managed to keep it in check. "Cut the crap. Everyone from the Invincible Gang can come at me together," Yun Jian said frivolously as she stood on the spot with her arms crossed. "Everyone from the Invincible Gang. Come at me together?" There were 30 to 40 members of the Invincible Gang present. Moreover, everyone in the military school was naturally different in strength from the students in normal schools. It could be said that everyone's strength was on par with students like Chu Xiangnan. And Yun Jian wanted to take on 30 to 40 people alone? Was she crazy? Huh? What? You want everyone from the Invincible Gang to go against you alone? Great, great. Gu Qixi was still a little afraid of Yun Jian just now. Now that she heard Yun Jian's words, she almost clapped her hands and cheered. Gu Qixi originally thought that Yun Jian wanted to have a one-on-one battle with the Invincible Gang. However, they did not expect Yun Jian to be so fierce. She wanted to take on 30 to 40 members of the Invincible Gang alone. Most importantly, they had the strongest Big Brother Chun on their side. Even if she, Yun Jian, was made of steel, she would still lose to 30 to 40 of them. Gu Qixi was just about to direct everyone from the Invincible Gang to fight Yun Jian when Duan Xinshan pressed her shoulder down. Duan Xinshan pressed his hand on Gu Qixi's shoulder and stared at her perfect face, mesmerized, before telling Gu Qixi she's just a girl. It's not good for our Invincible Gang to bully her with numbers. Duan Xinshan's words made Gu Qixi's face darken immediately. Brother Chun, you're actually defending her. Gu Qixi shouted angrily. Seeing the actions of the few people present, the instructors did not stop them. Instead, they stood aside and watched the show. If it had been any other time, the instructors would have stepped forward to stop the students from fighting one-on-one in front of them. However, today, the main character was Yun Jian, and they did not say a word. You're not going to make a move, are you? Yun Jian stood where she was with a nonchalant smirk. After laughing, she suddenly stopped smiling. In the next second, everyone saw her figure flash. It really only took a few seconds. Duan Xinshan stood in his original spot and chased after Yun Jian's figure. By the time he saw Yun Jian's figure with his naked eye, he felt Yun Jian's foot land on his abdomen. With a bang, Duan Xinshan was kicked to the ground. Yun Jian, who had retracted her leg in time, sneered. Pretending to be a man who won't attack a woman? I'm sorry, but even if you don't fight, you won't be able to change your fate of being kicked out of the canteen today. Chapter 11:20. Yun Jian's words had exposed Duan Xinshan's actions and caused the members of the Invincible sect to panic. However, no one present was paying attention to Yun Jian's words. When the instructors saw the scene just now, they all straightened their bodies. Oh my God! Someone had seen Yun Jian kick Duan Xinshan away in a matter of seconds. He was so shocked that he was in a state of infinite fear. Gu Qixi had seen her most admired and adored brother Chun get kicked away by Yun Jian. Her entire body tensed up and her hands clenched into fists, as if she had seen something extremely terrifying. At that moment, everyone was not shocked by Yun Jian's action of kicking Duan Xinshan away. The people present were all people with strength. Usually there would be fights. Moreover, most of the people present would be able to kick someone to the ground. This wasn't a difficult move. The reason why the people present were shocked, terrified, and frightened was that their eyes were wide open in fear and shock. It was because of Yun Jian's speed. The distance between Yun Jian's position and Duan Xinshan's position was at least a dozen meters. The time it took for Yun Jian to charge over and kick Duan Xinshan away was definitely not more than 3 seconds. Her speed was so fast that the naked eye could not capture it. Duan Xinshan, who had defeated Chu Ning and the other 6 members of Team Monarch single-handedly, did not even realize that Yun Jian was standing right in front of him before he was sent flying with a kick. A person, or rather, a powerful person, wanted to be powerful. She wanted to be more powerful than others. What was the most important thing? Speed. For example, when a powerful person faced off against another powerful person. For example, a sharpshooter faced off against another sharpshooter. Both of them were heroes among men, elites among the strong, kings among the elites. Who was more powerful? Without a doubt, when a powerful person faced off against another powerful person, speed was the only thing that mattered. Speed was the only thing that mattered who was more powerful. For example, if 2 sharpshooters were to fight, even if the sharpshooter was 0.1 seconds faster than the other, it would be the key to victory for the sharpshooter, or even killing the other in one move. Yun Jian's strength might not be much greater than Duan Xinshan's. In fact, internationally, there were many people who were stronger than Yun Jian. But why was Yun Jian more powerful than them? She was only competing in speed, accuracy, ruthlessness, disability. Speed was speed. The speed that she displayed earlier was so fast that the naked eye could not capture it. It was also because of this frightening speed that Duan Xinshan could not even see Yun Jian's position. Naturally, he was no match for her. However, Duan Xinshan was a powerhouse who had defeated all 6 members of Team Monarch. Even Duan Xinshan had used all of his strengths' full strength when he defeated. But what about Yun's of Jian's of Yun? With this incredible speed, kick, seconds. Oh my God! Just as everyone was in a daze, one of the instructors shouted in shock. Everyone was attracted by the instructor's voice and turned to look at the instructors. The instructors, led by Yu Xiaoluo, had the same expression on their faces. Their mouths were wide open in an O shape as they watched the scene unfold before them in disbelief. Even the instructors were shocked to this extent. Everyone was even more shocked when they saw that. At that moment, Instructor Yu Xiaoluo's voice was heard again. Oh my God, this is the first time I've learned that a human speed can reach such a level. Hearing the instructor's words, the students present were even more terrified, and each of them took a deep breath. Chapter 11:21. There was a reason why the instructors did not intervene when they saw Yoon Jin challenge the Invincible Gang. After all, Yoon Jin had made a name for herself, and the instructors had gotten into a fight not too long ago to fight for her. Even the chief instructor had to step in to stop them before they were willing to let it go. However, the instructors had not seen Yoon Jin except for Yu Xiaoluo. When they saw Yoon Jin earlier, they had some suspicions in their hearts. It had to be said that Yoon Jin's looks, coupled with her identity, were really hard to believe. That was why the instructors did not intervene just now. In fact, part of the reason was that they wanted to see how strong Yoon Jin really was. However, reality proved that whether it was Yoon Jin's strength or her methods, they were not disappointed. Not only were they not disappointed, but at this very moment, the few instructors present were completely shocked. Was she really just a teenage girl? That heaven-defying speed just now was too shocking, right? After Yoon Jin retracted her leg, she did not look at Duan Qinshun immediately. Instead, she turned slightly to the side and glanced at the instructors behind her from the corner of her eyes. She pursed her lips slightly. "Instructors, are you satisfied?" Everyone thought that after Yoon Jin attacked Duan Qinshun, she would continue to attack him or ask him to stand up and continue to fight. However, no one expected Yoon Jin to turn to the instructors behind her and say what she had just said. Everyone present was bewildered. However, the instructors trembled violently and straightened their backs immediately. Several drill masters exchanged glances without leaving a trace. They were even more horrified and stunned when they saw Yoon Jin and Duan Qinshun arguing just now. The instructors should have intervened and stopped them. However, they did not. No one present had any suspicions either. The instructors had thought that they wanted to see Yoon Jin's skills and that no one present would know the reason. However, they had miscalculated. Yoon Jin was not only skilled, but the instructors also did not expect that her observation skills were equally shocking. When Yoon Jin suddenly asked, a tall, thin, and handsome instructor who had been tanned by the sun paused. Then he pursed his lips and replied, very strong." As soon as the instructor finished speaking, Yu Xiaoluo stepped forward to clear his name. "Cough, cough, cough. Fighting is not allowed in school. Yoon Jin was just joking with you. Let's stop here." If the instructors did not step up to stop the fight now, that Yoon Jin had called their names out of the blue, the students would realize that they had not stepped up to stop the fight at the first instance. Moreover, Yu Xiaoluo and the other instructors were obviously biased towards Yoon Jin. After hearing Yu Xiaoluo's words, the instructors from the Invincible Gang did not dare to move. "Instructor, how is that a joke? My brother Chun is about to vomit blood from a kick." Gu Chizi was unconvinced. She pulled up Duan Qinshun, who had been kicked to the ground and was about to vomit blood, and said indignantly, "Then what do you want?" Yu Xiaoluo glared at Gu Chizi with a headache. "I want her to apologize to us." Gu Chizi could not remember how her good brother Chun had humiliated the 6 members of Team Monarch. Forget about an apology. Duan Qinshun did not even apologize to Chu Ning and the others. At this moment, Gu Chizi pointed her finger at Yoon Jin. She was very confident that Yoon Jin would be forced by the instructors to apologize to them. However, just as Gu Chizi spoke, Yoon Jin's cold voice rang out. "Apologize? Sure." As she spoke, Yoon Jin was already walking over. Chapter 1122. As she watched Yoon Jin walk toward her and say, "Sure, apologize," Gu Chizi's smile became even more obvious. Indeed, under the gaze of the instructors, even Yoon Jin did not dare to be presumptuous. Wasn't she still walking toward her obediently and apologizing to them? "The main thing is to apologize to my big brother Chun. You took advantage of the situation just now. If you hadn't taken advantage of the situation, my big brother Chun wouldn't have lost to you." When Gu Chizi saw Yoon Jin walking toward her, she thought that Yoon Jin's apology to the Invincible Gang was inevitable. Thus, she even reminded Yoon Jin to apologize to her big brother Chun. It was important that Yoon Jin apologize to her big brother Chun. That was not all. Gu Chizi was someone who would take advantage of others. Not only did she want Yoon Jin to apologize, but she also wanted to use this opportunity to tell everyone present. It was not that her invincible gang's Duan Qinshun was weaker than Yun Jian, but that Yun Jian had taken advantage of the situation and launched a sneak attack. That was how she won. At this moment, Yun Jian was standing less than half a meter in front of Gu Qixi. At the thought that Yun Jian was about to apologize to her, Gu Qixi smiled. Seeing that Yun Jian did not speak, she waited for a while and then urged her, "Hurry up and apologize. Hurry up and apologize you." Before Gu Qixi could finish speaking, Yun Jian's voice rang out. "Taking advantage of the situation? Are you referring to that?" Just as she said this, Yun Jian reached out her right hand and raised it slightly. In the next second, she threw her right hand out and slapped Gu Qixi's face. This slap, along with Yun Jian's words, caused Gu Qixi to fall to the ground. Her face burned from the slap. Gu Qixi did not react for a long time. Yun Jian walked over and grabbed Gu Qixi's long hair with an expressionless face. She pulled Gu Qixi's hair and pulled her face close to herself. Then, Yun Jian smiled coldly. "You? How dare you hit me? Instructor should..." Yun Jian flung Gu Qixi away violently. Then, he dragged his scalp close to Yun Jian's head. She had just been overwhelmed by the pain and wanted to curse Yun Jian viciously when she saw Yun Jian's murderous eyes. Gu Qixi was frightened and hurriedly asked the instructor for help. However, just as Gu Qixi's cry for help sounded, Yun Jian raised her hand and gave Gu Qixi another slap. She stopped Gu Qixi from calling for help from the instructors. Everyone present was stunned by Yun Jian's ruthless skills. Even the instructors in the distance felt a chill run down their spines. Yun Jian gave Gu Qixi a second slap. Just as she was about to give Gu Qixi a third slap, Duan Qinshun's male voice sounded from the side. "Qixi is my sister. Give me some face. Don't hit her." Duan Qinshun looked at Yun Jian in a daze. Her sweet and pleasant face was mesmerizing. There were always people in this world who felt that they were some powerful figure. They felt that as long as they showed up, the other party would definitely give them some face. Hearing Duan Qinshun's voice, Yun Jian was already giving him face by not laughing out loud. Yun Jian loosened her grip, letting go of Gu Qixi's hand. Duan Qinshun thought that Yun Jian was giving him some face, so she let go of Gu Qixi's hand. He was elated. As expected, she must be interested in me. Just as Duan Qinshun thought of that, Yun Jian had already let go of Gu Qixi's hand and stood up. She glanced sideways at Duan Qinshun. At that moment, the murderous intent of a special agent was on full display. She looked at Duan Qinshun with her sharp eyes and curled her lips coldly. "I heard that you used martial arts to defeat the 6 members of Team Monarch." At this point, Yun Jian smiled mockingly at Duan Qinshun and continued, "Then today, I'll use martial arts to send you to your grave." Yun Jian knows martial arts too. Chapter 1123. Martial arts were different from Taekwondo, Sanda, and grappling. It required long-term persistence. Of course, mastering martial arts could improve a person's reaction speed and agility, which were essential in combat. Those who could learn martial arts usually started practicing when they were very young. Therefore, when they heard that Yun Jian actually knew martial arts, everyone present was completely shocked. "Yun Jian, you actually know martial arts?" Chu Ning, who was standing nearby, looked at Yun Jian in a daze and asked in surprise. "Genius. She's a genius. She actually knows martial arts. Ha ha ha. She's now the daughter of my old comrade. My old comrade even instructed me to teach her well. She'll definitely join my team next semester. None of you are allowed to snatch her from me. Ha ha." After hearing Yun Jian's words, Yu Shaoluo became even more excited and quickly spoke up. This old comrade referred to Gu Junjian. Just as Yu Shaoluo finished speaking, a few instructors beside him were very dissatisfied and were about to speak up to snatch Yun Jian away. Gu Qixi's discordant voice suddenly sounded. Her words were directed at Yu Shaoluo, and her tone carried a hint of jealousy. "Instructor, does she really know martial arts just because she says so?" Martial arts isn't something that ordinary people can learn. My brother Chin's master is a reclusive expert. Back then, he took Brother Chin in as his disciple because he fancied his skills. My brother Chin is that expert's only disciple. How could he be compared to her? Moreover, it's not certain if she's learning authentic martial arts. After being slapped a few times by Yun Jian, Gu Chizi was furious. However, considering Yun Jian's skills, she didn't dare to step forward rashly. Therefore, she spoke in a boastful tone. The way she addressed Brother Chan was enough to show how proud Gu Chizi was at that moment. Especially when she mentioned that Duan Xinchen's master was a reclusive expert, the students present all gasped. Some of them even exclaimed, "Wow." After all, in this era, the term hidden expert gave people a lot of room for imagination. There were even some people who felt that hermit experts were existences that were on par with immortals. Hearing the exclamations of the surrounding students, Gu Chi-si proudly raised his chin. Bragging about her brother Chun felt like she was bragging about herself. After Gu Chi-si finished speaking, Duan Qinshen kept staring at Yun Jian. When Gu Chi-si finished speaking, Duan Qinshen also said something that sounded very manly. "I don't want to do anything to you. It wouldn't be good if I hurt you." Duan Qinshen's gaze dimmed slightly as he spoke. The way he looked at Yun Jian was extremely gentle, just like how a young man would look at a girl. Those who didn't know better would think that there was something going on between him and Yun Jian. "Then let's fight." Yun Jian pursed her lips. Before she could say anything, a familiar and magnetic male voice came from the door. When he turned around, he saw CE walking in through the cafeteria's main entrance. Emo's son and Adam followed closely behind him. Duan Qinshen raised his brows. He saw the handsome CE's tall figure suddenly appear and stand beside Yun Jian. A bad premonition spread throughout his body. Duan Qinshen furrowed his brows as he looked at the outstanding man in front of him and asked, "Who are you?" Chapter 1124. The moment CE finished speaking, Duan Qinshen's face turned as black as charcoal. She actually has a man? Duan Qinshen only had one thought at that moment. The girl that he had finally taken a liking to was already with a man. At that moment, Duan Qinshen saw Yun Jian nestled in CE's arms in front of everyone. She lifted her head slightly and looked at CE. She pursed her beautiful red lips and asked softly, "Why are you here?" Her soft, feminine voice melted CE's heart. CE's heart was about to melt. Of course, Yun Jian would only reveal such a girlish expression when she was with CE. When CE heard Yun Jian's gentle voice, he felt that even if she asked him to die, he would fulfill her request without hesitation. His face that was flat and emotionless, as if it would be cold and emotionless for the rest of his life, revealed a handsome expression that was only reserved for Yun Jian. "I'm here to sign up." Looking at Yun Jian's petite face, CE almost kissed her tender lips in front of everyone, but he held himself back in the end. He looked at Yun Jian with a gentle gaze and spoke softly. "Sign up." Yun Jian raised her brows slightly and repeated in surprise. "Sign up? Our Min City Military Academy has a limited number of places, and students have to pass the high school entrance exam to be admitted. If you sign up so hastily, our school will not accept you." When he heard that CE wanted to sign up for their school, Duan Qinshen felt like killing CE. He looked at CE's face, which was many times more perfect and handsome than his own. He had originally planned to pursue Yun Jian after she entered the school next semester. In the end, CE had appeared out of nowhere and was even prettier than him. Duan Qinshen was extremely unhappy. On the other hand, Duan Qinshen knew at a glance that other than Yun Jian, the results of the middle school exams were not out yet. Even if CE wanted to study in their military academy, he would have to see if he had the right to do so. How could he come to school just because he wanted to? Exactly. Our military academy isn't a place where you can just come and go as you please, much less an ordinary school where you can just spend some money to get into. When Gu Chi-si saw CE's handsome face, she was completely dumbfounded, just like everyone else present. How could there be such a handsome man in this world? It was just like when he saw Yun Jian. It was undeniable that when Si walked to Yun Jian's side, the degree of compatibility between the two made everyone envious. They wished they could be one of them. Gucci Si had the same thought, but she knew very well that she could not have Ce. Since that was the case, why not destroy him? Gucci Si felt that she could not have him. She did not want Ce to enter the military academy and live happily ever after with Yun Jian. She would go crazy if she saw this scene. She wanted nothing more than to destroy him. The few instructors standing by the side frowned. However, at this moment, a middle-aged man in a suit ran in through the main entrance of the cafeteria, looking travel-worn. This middle-aged man was bald, but the hair on the side of his head was extremely lush. After the middle-aged man ran through the main entrance of the cafeteria, he looked around. The students present were stunned for a moment. Then, someone immediately recognized this middle-aged man. Oh my God, it's actually the principal of our school who hasn't shown his face for hundreds of years. The principal is actually in school today. A student shouted in surprise. Just as this student finished speaking, the bald middle-aged man caught sight of a tall figure. Then, he almost swayed as he rushed over with all his might. The middle-aged man used all his strength to run to Ce as fast as he could. Then, he bowed and respectfully handed a letter of admission to Ce. Chapter 1125. This middle-aged man was the principal of Min City Military Academy. His surname was Murong. Principal Murong was the principal of the military academy. He was a rigid person, but every student in a military academy knew that Principal Murong was a very righteous person. Furthermore, Principal Murong rarely appeared in the academy. Even if he did, he would only show his face. Even if he bumped into his classmates on the roadside and they greeted him with a greeting, Principal Murong would nod at them, but he would not smile. He had always been an experienced and steady person. But now, their military academy's famous rigid Principal Murong was actually acting as though he was meeting his superior. He was even more respectful towards Ce than when he met the country's leaders. It was as though he was deliberately trying to flatter him. Min City Military Academy was a famous school with a long history. The principal of Min City had always held considerable authority. In other words, even if the provincial leaders came down, Principal Murong would not need to flatter them. This was because Principal Murong's status was different from that of ordinary high schools. But now, he was actually being so respectful toward the young man in his 20s. This scene was extremely horrifying in the eyes of everyone who saw it, especially Duan Qinshan and Gu Chizi. What they had said to Ce just now could be said to be absolute. They had used an absolute tone to tell Ce that a person like him had no right to study in their military academy. But Principal Murong's appearance now was like a tight slap to Duan Qinshan and Gu Chizi's faces. Duan Qinshan and Gu Chizi's faces instantly turned pale. At this moment, they were so ashamed that they could not find a place to hide themselves. Facing Duan Qinshan and Gu Chizi's embarrassment, Ce, who was hugging Yun Jian's slender waist, only reached out a hand and waved it gently. And Mo's son, who was behind him, understood. He stepped forward and reached out his hand to Principal Murong on behalf of Ce. Give it to me. When Principal Murong heard this, he happily handed the admission notice to Mo's son personally. Then, he smiled and looked kindly at Ce. Have you eaten? Do you want me to swipe your card? Headmaster Murong said as he quickly lowered his head and took out a meal card from his pocket. In school, you can't get food without a meal card. No need. Ce was a man of few words when dealing with outsiders. His eyes were fixed on Yun Jian, who was in his arms. As long as he saw his Xiao Jian, all his unhappiness was nonsense. After rejecting Principal Murong, Ce suddenly thought that his Yun Jian might not have eaten yet. So he looked down at her and asked softly with a gentleness that was completely different from when he was treating an outsider, "Are you hungry?" "I've already eaten," Yun Jian said as she pointed at the box lunch she was eating not far away. "You're not done yet?" Ce looked in the direction that Yun Jian was pointing and frowned slightly. Let's eat first. You can't be hungry. It'll affect your health, Ce said as he tugged Yunjin's hand and led her there. Ce's aura had intimidated everyone just now, so no one dared to move. They could only watch as Ce tugged Yunjin's hand and led her there. They were halfway there when Duan Qinshan's voice came from behind them again. Chapter 11:26. Seeing Ce groping Yunjin and even holding Yunjin's hand as they walked to the dining table like a couple, Duan Qinshan could not take it anymore. Duan Qinshan had always known that he was outstanding and worked harder than others when he was young. When he grew up, he even became the representative of other people's children. Some time ago, he even took on the 6 members of Team Monarch and was later given the title of Young God of War. All of this made him very confident, and he looked at the people around him in a higher light. Duan Qinshan's standard for choosing a partner was that ordinary girls were not good enough for him. However, ever since he saw Yunjin, Duan Qinshan felt that his spring had arrived, and it was time for him to fall in love. Duan Qinshan felt that he had fallen in love with Yunjin at first sight, especially when Yunjin stood in the crowd as if she was the king of the world. Duan Qinshan felt his heart roaring and boiling. Only a girl like her was good enough for someone as outstanding as him. However, Duan Qinshan did not expect that Yunjin already had a man. Therefore, at that moment, Duan Qinshan only had one thought, and that was to get Ce out of his sight. He did not even consider why Principal Murong was so respectful to Ce. Just as Duan Qinshan finished speaking, everyone present looked over as if they were about to watch a good show. Principal Murong was originally respectful to Ce, but when he heard Duan Qinshan speak to Ce in such a tone, he was so scared that he trembled. "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!" Principal Murong's face froze when he heard Duan Qinshan provoking Ce. He immediately yelled at Duan Qinshan, "This big shot is not someone you can provoke as you please." Principal Murong yelled at Duan Qinshan. Duan Qinshan was even more indignant after being yelled at by the principal. "I accept." Just as Principal Murong was about to burst into tears from Duan Qinshan's idiocy, Ce's deep and forceful voice rang, with a hint of sharpness in his tone. The big shot actually agreed? Principal Murong nearly broke out in a cold sweat. Ce looked down at Yunjin with a smirk as he lowered his tall body to Yunjin's ear. "Xiao Jian, what do you want him to do if he loses?" Ce then continued. "Break his arm? Break his leg? Or break his head?" Despite the gory words coming from Ce's mouth, they sounded so serious. Everyone who heard this felt their hair stand on end. He could actually say such words in such a relaxed manner. Duan Qinshan could not help shuddering. If he loses, he'll get out of the school. Yunjin narrowed her eyes. Duan Qinshan took a deep breath. Compared to Ce's ruthlessness, Yunjin was much gentler. Yunjin had told him to scram, but compared to what Ce had said, Yunjin did not break his limbs. Could it be that she was reluctant? Duan Qinshan could not help thinking that she must be interested in him as well. After all, a guy like Ce, he was probably just a pretty boy despite his flawless looks. Duan Qinshan, on the other hand, was a pretty boy whose strength and looks were on par. Just as Duan Qinshan thought about it, Yunjin spoke again, "Because I don't want to see disgusting things hovering in front of me when I enroll." Yunjin paused before continuing. "Or if he loses, I'll break all his meridians so that he can't practice martial arts for the rest of his life." Chapter 11:27. Duan Qinshan's last bit of hope was shattered when he heard Yunjin's words. Was he really that unbearable in her eyes? Whatever Xiao Jian says. Ce caressed Yunjin's head softly. Yunjin's hair was tied up in a high ponytail, looking spirited from both afar and close up. Usually, there were many girls in school who liked to wear their hair down. However, many schools had rules that forbade girls from wearing their hair down and had to tie it up in ponytails. Many girls did not know that a girl's true beauty came from her heart. Just like this high ponytail, it gave off a domineering and spirited vibe. Yunjin liked to tie her hair up in such a high ponytail as well. The hairstyle suited her as well. Although she didn't look as feminine as some girls, she vividly reflected her unique beauty, which was something that no other girl could compare to. He stroked her hair softly, his movements smooth as well. Looking at Yi's gentle gaze, Duan Qinshan, who stood a distance away, could not hold himself back. Due to his confidence, Duan Qinshan told Yi, "Fine. If you lose, you're out of the military academy. If I lose, not only will I be kicked out of the academy, I'll cripple all my meridians and never practice martial arts again." Duan Qinshan's words stunned everyone present. "Chingij, are you crazy? Is it just for her?" Gucci Si was shocked by Duan Qinshan's actions and roared at him with a finger pointing at Yunjian. "Qi Si, move away." Duan Qinshan pushed Gucci Si away and went to Si. "No, I won't." Even if Gucci Si was dumb, she could tell what Duan Qinshan thought of Yunjian. She would be dumb if she let go now. Duan Qinshan's gaze darkened. He could not take it anymore, and his heart skipped a beat before he flung Gucci Si away. "Qi Si, stay out of my business." As he spoke, Duan Qinshan went closer to Si. Si smirked and rubbed Yunjian's head before leaning down to steal a kiss on Yunjian's red lips right in front of Duan Qinshan. Some of the people present even shrieked when they saw the scene. "Wow! Oh!" Duan Qinshan's heart wrenched at the sight as he bellowed and charged at Si. "Go to hell! Go to hell! Ah!" Duan Qinshan bellowed as he sprinted towards Si without a care for his image. Si's eyes narrowed. Sure enough, Duan Qinshan, who had been learning martial arts since he was a child and had even learned martial arts from an expert, was different from the people he had met before. "Ah, they're fighting. They're so fierce. I think Duan Qinshan is going to win." "Isn't that so?" Duan Qinshan fought against the 6 members of Team Monarch a while ago and defeated 5 of them. The woman who wasn't defeated was defeated as well. That guy is probably just a pretty boy. He's just a little good-looking and doesn't have any real skills. Otherwise, why haven't we heard of his name? That's right. The chatter of the people present could be heard. However, the group of people who were complaining had only just reached this point. Duan Qinshan was already in front of Si. He lifted his leg and kicked Si, who was still hugging Yunjian, in an attempt to kick Si's hand away from Yunjian. Emo's son and Adam followed behind Si and did not even look like they were going to make a move. Duan Qinshan lifted his leg and used a martial arts move to kick Si away. Chapter 1128. Duan Xingqian lifted one leg and used the other leg to spring up from the ground near Si. Then, he used both legs to propel himself forward. One of his legs was straight while the other was also off the ground. However, it was bent into a triangular shape and kicked towards Si. At the same time, Duan Xingqian was extremely fast. Although he wasn't as fast as Yunjian, his speed was definitely in the top 3 among the colonels in Min City Military Academy. Duan Xingqian dared to fight in front of Headmaster Moro. Everyone present couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for him. However, Headmaster Moron wasn't concerned about a student breaking the school rules and fighting in public. Instead, he was concerned about Duan Qinshan, that bastard. He actually dared to provoke that big shot. Was he trying to get himself killed? Just as he was thinking about this, Duan Xingqian's kick was already in front of Ce. Everyone present sucked in a sharp breath. However, at this moment, Duan Xingqian's kick had just arrived in front of Ce. At this critical moment, Ce stared at Yunjian with a gentle gaze. Duan Xingqian already had victory in his hands and could send Ce flying with a kick. Ce suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed forward with his large, fair hand. He didn't even turn his head to look. That slender palm caught Duan Qinshan's 2 feet in front of him in an instant. He didn't even look up as he grabbed Duan Xingqian's leg. Everyone present was shocked by this action. He actually grabbed Duan Xingqian's leg without even looking. Duan Xingqian had also leaped into the air and kicked towards Ce. If Ce could grab Duan Xingqian's leg, it would be equivalent to lifting Duan Xingqian's entire body weight with one hand. Ce was tall and not fat at all. His body proportions were perfect. However, just by looking at Ciyi's figure, it was impossible to tell that he had such strength. Just as everyone was thinking about this, Ciyi suddenly grabbed Duan Qinshan's leg. He led Duan Qinshan to the side and threw him to the side. Boom! Not long after, Ciyi smashed Duan Qinshan on the ground. His entire body trembled as he lay on the ground. He stretched out his hand, and without even looking at Duan Qinshan, who was about to kick him, he grabbed Duan Qinshan's leg and flung him away. His eyes were fixed on Yun Jian the whole time. This was simply a blind arrest. With Duan Qinshan's speed, even if they saw it, it would be hard for them to react in time, let alone grab Duan Qinshan's leg and fling him away without even looking. Duan Qinshan's strength had been reduced to nothing by Ciyi at this moment. Cough, cough, cough. Duan Qinshan lay on the ground. His heart almost exploded from being flung away by Ciyi. Adam, destroy his meridians. He will never be able to enter Min City's military academy. Before anyone could react, Ciyi's cold and emotionless voice rang out. Yes, Adam obeyed and walked over. Everyone present was so scared that their faces turned pale. Was he really going to destroy him? After Ciyi finished his sentence, he grabbed Yun Jian's hand and walked out of the canteen. Hey, Yun Jian, are you leaving? Chu Xiangnan stopped Chu Ning just as she was about to follow them. You're going to be a third wheel. Chu Xiangnan chuckled. At this moment, Yun Jian had been dragged by Ciyi to a small forest in the canteen. There was no one around. Didn't you say that the Han organization was busy? Why are you back so soon? Yun Jian asked as she leaned into Ciyi's arms. We're going to Yulong mainland tomorrow. I'll be back to accompany you. Ciyi hugged Yun Jian as he held Yun Jian's hand. He looked at Yun Jian tenderly. Chapter 1129. Yun Jian nodded after hearing Ciyi's words. Just as she was about to say something, Duan Qinshan's blood-curdling screams and Gu Chizi's desperate cries came from the cafeteria. Oh, Brother Chun, no. Needless to say, Adam must have crippled Duan Qinshan's meridians and helped him fulfill his promise. Affected by the atmosphere, Ciyi frowned and dragged Yun Jian back to the military school cafeteria. Inside the military school cafeteria, Duan Qinshan's limbs were crippled and he lay paralyzed on the ground. Seeing this, Headmaster Murong, as the headmaster of the military school, should have stepped in to stop this, but he did not dare to say a word. It was Duan Qinshan's fault for messing with that big shot for no reason. Headmaster Murong did not dare to intervene at all. The instructors stood rooted to the ground and gulped. They saw Ciyi pulling Yun Jian into the cafeteria. Yun Jianer! Chu Ning shouted the moment she saw Yun Jian. Yun Jian had already returned to her original spot. Duan Qinshan's meridians were crippled in public, and he was already unconscious, but Gu Chizi was still crying. You reap what you sow, Chu Ning said angrily as she glanced at the other side. Duan Qinshan had injured all 6 members of Team Monarch, especially Fang Xiaoran, who was the most severely injured and was still suffering from the aftereffects. Fang Xiaoran went to the hospital, and the doctor said that the aftereffects would follow him for the rest of his life. At that time, Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan were both angry and resentful. Duan Qinshan had won the admiration of the entire school because of that battle, but he had severely injured all 6 members of Team Monarch and caused them to be despised by the entire school. Chu Ning and the others trained so hard because they wanted to defeat Duan Qinshan. It was precisely because of Duan Qinshan's cruelty that Chu Ning and the others did not feel any sympathy for him. On the contrary, they felt very satisfied. However, just as Yun Jian stood in front of Chu Ning, Gu Chi, who was crying at Duan Qinshan, suddenly stood up in hatred. She drew a knife from her waist and charged at Yun Jian. Ah, you hurt my brother Chun. I'm going to kill you. Go to hell. Gu Chi had adored Duan Qinshan since she was young. The way she saw it, Duan Qinshan was her everything. Therefore, when she saw Duan Qinshan's meridians being crippled and he could no longer practice martial arts, Gu Chi felt like she was going crazy. She did not care about anything else. She only had one thought in her mind, and that was to kill Yun Jian. It was all because of her that her brother Chun had become like this. However, Gu Qixi was no match for Yun Jian. The second before Gu Qixi stabbed her knife at Yun Jian kicked Gu Qixi away. At the same time, the knife in Gu Qixi's hand fell to the ground with a crisp sound. It was also at this moment that Yun Jian's cold voice rang out. It was enough to reach everyone's heart. Here, I keep my word. Since you dare to make a bet, you have to fulfill your promise. Yun Jian's words were directed at Gu Qixi. It was not her or Si Yi who ruined Duan Xinshan, but Duan Xinshan who ruined himself. Since you don't have the ability, why put on a brave front? Since you put on a brave front, you have to pay for your actions. With that, Yun Jian paused. At that moment, Yun Jian was standing in front of the 6 members of Team Monarch. She looked up and a glint flashed across her eyes. She paused for 2 seconds before continuing to say something that made everyone's blood boil. Team Monarch is under my protection. If anyone dares to challenge my authority in the future, they'll be my enemy. Chapter 1130. Team Monarch. She was in charge. Anyone who disobeyed would end up like Duan Qinshan from Invincible Gang. Yun Jian's words, coupled with her uncanny display of skill just now, made her look even more intimidating, especially the man standing beside her, who even the principal obeyed. Everyone present shuddered violently. Our Yun Jian is amazing, Chu Ning said proudly as the surrounding students looked at the scene in front of them with fear in their eyes. The aftermath of the incident was left to Adam and Immo's son to handle. Adam and Immo's son dealt with this matter very quickly. As for Duan Qinshan, not only was his meridians crippled, he was also expelled from the military academy. To Duan Qinshan, this was definitely an unbearable blow. As for Gu Qixi, she must have left with Duan Qinshan after he left the military academy. After all, Gu Qixi had entered the military academy with Duan Qinshan. Without their leader and vice leader, the Invincible Gang was naturally disbanded. Of course, all these happened later. Yun Jian had already returned to Longmen City with Ce. Yun Jian had planned to stay the night here and return to Longmen City before heading to Yulong mainland with Lan Su the next day. It was just that she changed her plan at the last minute when Ce came. Chu Ning and her friends had successfully applied for leave from Headmaster Murong in the afternoon to accompany Yun Jian around Min City. Chu Ning and her friends did not have classes in the evening, but after applying to the headmaster, Headmaster Murong agreed to their request for leave in the afternoon, at once knowing that Yun Jian was close to them. They would depart for Yulong mainland early the next morning, but before that, Yun Jian had something to do. Yulong mainland was an unknown world to Yun Jian and Ce. They did not even know when they could return from this trip. With this in mind, Yun Jian planned to make a trip back to Rongyao Company first. Ce, on the other hand, planned to make a trip back to Enhan Group. Yun Jian planned to go to Rongyao Company the next day. The only thing Yun Jian could not let go of now was Rongyao Company. Rongyao Company was managed by a luring witch, but Yun Jian knew that Hagi Company's chairman, who was also Mayor's father, had been eyeing Rongyao Company for a long time now. She did not know when she would be back after leaving this time. So Yun Jian had to make a trip to Rongyao Company. Ce, on the other hand, drove off after sending Yun Jian home. He planned to rush back to Enhan Group overnight and said he would meet Yun Jian directly when they discovered the ancient tomb, which was also the entrance of Yulong mainland. After sending Ce off, Yun Jian went to Qing Yu's suite first. After making some arrangements with her, she went to Lan Su's house. Lan Su had moved out since Qin Yiru's wedding. She rented a small suite. Although it was not as big as Qin Yu's big suite, it was cozy and cozy. Yun Jian had the key to Lan Su's house. She opened the door when she arrived at Lan Su's house. At this moment, Lan Su was squatting on the ground and packing her luggage. She was wearing a pair of loose jeans with large long sleeves. It could be said that her perfect body was completely covered. Lan Su was from Yulong mainland. It was Yulong mainland's custom to dress conservatively. Lan Su shouted happily when she saw Yun Jian. Yun Jian. She then waved at Yun Jian. Yun Jian did not close the door when she saw that. Instead, she walked over with a smile. Yun Jian, look, I plan to bring these treasures back to the witch tribe. My tribesmen must have never seen these things in their lives. Lan Su said excitedly as she held the pots and pans in her hands. A familiar male voice came from the door. Lan Su, are you planning to forgive me now that you've opened the door? Then let's go get that marriage certificate tomorrow. Chapter 1131. It wasn't the first time that Adam had come to Lan Su's place to beg for forgiveness. However, Lan Su had closed the door and refused to see anyone. Of course, Adam could easily enter the house through other methods, but he didn't. He felt that if he did that, Lan Su would be even more disgusted with him. However, Adam had been coming to Lan Su's house every day to beg for forgiveness. When he came over today, he saw that Lan Su's front door was wide open. He thought that Lan Su had forgiven him, but he didn't expect that the young mistress was here. Ah, young mistress, so you're here. Adam paused for a moment, then walked in from outside the house. Although that was what he said, Adam was actually thinking in his heart, young mistress, you came at such a bad time. Yun Jian's lips curved slightly. She calmly replied, then turned to look at Lan Su. Looking at Lan Su, Yun Jian opened her mouth and said, prepare your things. We'll leave at 5:30 tomorrow. With that, Yun Jian used a thought-provoking gaze to sweep over Lan Su and Adam. Then she turned around and left. Hey, Yun Jian, don't go. Seeing that Yun Jian had walked out of her house while Adam was still there, Lan Su shouted, wanting to chase after Yun Jian and pull her back. However, Lan Su was stopped by Adam. Lan Su could only watch as Yun Jian left. I haven't seen you in a long time, woman. How can you be so heartless? Adam grabbed Lan Su's wrist. He stared at Lan Su for 2 seconds. After a while, he suddenly pulled Lan Su into his arms and hugged her. Yun Jian had come over to inform Lan Su of the departure time. Now that she had said what she wanted to say, she retreated. The next day came as promised. Yun Jian had to leave Longmen City for a while and told Qin Yiru that she was going to visit Siyi's house, so she would only be back after some time. Hearing that Yun Jian was going to visit Siyi's house, Qin Yiru wanted to go with her no matter what. However, she was tricked by Yun Jian with a lie, so she did not tag along. Early in the morning, Qin Yiru made a few steamed buns for Yun Jian. Yun Jian and Lan Su had agreed to meet at East Bus Station. Once Yun Jian arrived, she saw 2 silhouettes standing not far away. It was none other than Lan Su and Adam. Adam was helping Lan Su carry her heavy luggage. She wondered what happened between the two of them after Yun Jian left yesterday. Lan Su's attitude toward Adam was no longer as hostile as before. Yun Jian, this guy is pestering me. Can you chase him away for me? Lan Su ran over when she saw Yun Jian. Her tone, however, did not sound as hostile toward Adam as her words suggested. Young master asked me to protect young mistress. I won't leave. When Adam heard Lan Su's words, he was afraid that Yun Jian would help Lan Su and stop him from going with them. So he quickly stepped forward to speak up for his young master. Yun Jian watched their interaction with a small smile and got on the bus with her backpack. Let's get on. The plane leaves at 6:30. We'll be late, Yun Jian said as she flipped her high ponytail over her shoulder and flung it behind her. Lan Su kept quiet and quickly followed Yun Jian onto the bus. Departing from the airport, this was Yun Jian's second trip to Maryland in Country M after her rebirth. It was almost noon when she got off the plane. There was a time difference between Country Z's Longmen City and Country M's Maryland. It was around noon in China, but it was around 5 in the evening when she arrived in Maryland. Chapter 1132. She thought that Yun Jian was visiting Siyi's house, and Qin Yiru knew that Yun Jian would pass by Maryland in Country M, which was also the university Gu Xian was studying in. Qin Yiru was a considerate mother. Even if she was not Gu Xian's biological mother, she felt that she was obligated to treat Gu Xian well since she was married to Gu Junjian. Moreover, Gu Xian was treating Qin Yiru very well. During Qin Yiru's wedding the last time, Gu Xian had even brought back an expensive gift for Qin Yiru from abroad. Qin Yiru had only asked Yun Jian to bring some hometown dishes for Gu Xian since Qin Yiru had heard from Gu Xian that he missed the taste of his hometown when he was abroad. University students usually spent more time in their dorms. Yun Jian came to Gu Xian's university and stood downstairs of Gu Xian's male dormitory with a few bottles filled with Longmen City's local specialties. Gu Xian came running out of the dormitory in no time. He was accompanied by a few other Chinese who had also come from Country Z to study here. When Yun Jian came the last time, Gu Xian's best buddies, Dan Tiansheng, Wu Dazhuang, and Zhu Zilin were not present. It was not hard to imagine that Dan Tiansheng and the rest were not in the same dormitory as Gu Xian. The three men who came out with Gu Xian today were obviously Gu Xian's roommates. Mom asked me to bring them to you. When Yun Jian saw Gu Xian, she passed the Longmen City's local specialties that Qin Yiru had personally pickled in a bottle to Gu Xian. Seeing the pretty girl coming to Gu Xian's dormitory for him, Gu Xian's three roommates chuckled. Oh, Gu Xian. I didn't expect a girl to come all the way here just to give you a token of love. What a surprise. Gu Xian's three male roommates put their arms around each other's shoulders, grinning more exaggeratedly than if they had just eaten honey. Teenagers of this age paid special attention to the actions of the opposite sex, so the trio who did not know what was going on laughed even more exaggeratedly. Gu Xian did not get along with his three roommates. However, he was displeased when he heard them talking about him and Yun Jian in such a misunderstood tone. Don't spout nonsense. This is my younger sister. Gu Xian grumbled at his three roommates before he turned to look at Yun Jian. Younger sister, is there anything you need from coming all the way here? Gu Xian's tone was gentler. Since Yun Jian's summer break ended early while Gu Xian's university's summer break ended later, Gu Xian was still on campus. I'm here to have fun, Yun Jian replied. Oh, little girl, you actually came all the way from Country Z to Country M to have fun? How old are you this year? Do you want to go out and have fun with us? Gu Xian's three roommates were indeed not decent people. One of them had a flat nose and was not particularly good looking, but he was quite tall. He looked at Yun Jian and said casually, Zhang Jiangui, my younger sister is not that kind of person. She won't fool around with you. Gu Xian frowned and stopped the trio from looking at Yun Jian with ill intentions. Fisk, look at what you're saying. Gu Xian, we're not fooling around this time. The three of us have applied for Hagi Company's recruitment and are going for an interview now. The Hagi Company is one of the top 10 international corporations. I invited your younger sister to go with me because I want to bring her out to see the world. Hey, look at you. You're really too ignorant. When Zhang Jingui heard this, he raised his head proudly and said confidently, That's right. It was as if being able to go for an interview with the famous Hagi Company was something to be proud of. Hagi Company? Yun Jian arched a brow, her lips curving into a smile. What a coincidence. Hey, little girl, you know about it too, right? Big brother will bring you out to see the world. Do you want to come? Zhang Jingui said proudly when he saw that Yun Jian knew about Hagi Company. Gu Xian paused, then said, I'll go too. Since Gu Xian wanted to go, Zhang Jingui and the other two naturally did not stop him. After putting the bottles of pickled vegetables back in the dormitory, the group of them headed to Hagi's company. The summer vacation was scorching hot. The sun was high up in the sky, and just walking on the streets was enough to make one sweat. Zhang Jingui was dying from the heat. He glanced at Yun Jian from the corner of his eye. Because he wanted to show off his abs, he had already taken off his shirt and hung it over his shoulder. Seeing that Yun Jian did not look at him, Zhang Jingui walked over and asked Yun Jian, Little girl, it's so hot today. Do you want to have ice cream to quench your thirst? With that said, Zhang Jingui did not wait for Yun Jian to answer. As usual, he ordered his roommate, Gu Xian, to run errands for him. Gu Xian, go by me. Just as he said this, Zhang Jingui suddenly felt that it was embarrassing for him to order Yun Jian's brother to buy things for him in front of her. Thus, Zhang Jingui went to buy ice cream himself. Chapter 1134. Because I don't eat ice cream from strangers. But Yun Jian didn't say the last sentence. Yun Jian can eat ice, and she has eaten a lot of snacks like ice cream. Hearing Yun Jian's words, Zhang Jingui's hand that was about to reach out to Yun Jian obviously stopped. He just wanted to buy ice cream to flirt with Yun Jian. He didn't think about anything else at all. So when he heard Yun Jian's words, Zhang Jingui's hand directly stopped. My sister doesn't eat these things. You can keep them for yourself. Guxian resisted the urge to laugh and mock Zhang Jingui and said seriously. In fact, Guxian knew that Yun Jian can eat ice cream. But when he thought about how Zhang Jingui's 3 roommates usually ordered him around, and even knew that he came from a good family, they always asked him to treat them. Zhang Jingui's 3 roommates didn't help him at all since school started, and they often ordered him to do this and that. Although Guxian didn't hear it, he was very unhappy. At this moment, seeing Yun Jian's actions and Zhang Jingui's deflated look, Guxian simply wanted to clap his hands and cheer. Zhang Jingui heard Guxian's words and wanted to flare up, but when he thought about how Yun Jian was in front of him, he held back. Hey, since little sister doesn't like it, then I'll eat it. In order to please Yun Jian, Zhang Jingui only bought 1 ice cream. When he heard Yun Jian say that she didn't want to eat it, Zhang Jingui ate it himself. The few of them walked together and arrived at the entrance of Hagi Company. Hagi Company, like Rongyao Company, was headquartered in Maryland, Country M. Like Rongyao Company, there were guards at the entrance of Hagi Company during the day. Only the official employees of Hagi Company could enter the company. After arriving at the entrance of Hagi's company, Guxian paused for a moment, then said to Zhang Jingui and the others, My sister and I are at the entrance. You guys can go in. Since we're already here, how can we not go in? When Zhang Jingui heard Guxian's words, he knew that Guxian thought that he couldn't bring them into Hagi's company. After all, a big company like this didn't allow outsiders to enter. Hey, I know that such a big company doesn't allow outsiders to enter, but since I can bring you all here, I can't let you all wait for us at the door, right? Zhang Jingui's words sounded as if he had something to do with Hagi Company and even represented Hagi Company. As soon as Zhang Jingui finished speaking, Guxian's roommate, who was with Zhang Jingui, followed up with a rather proud tone. Guxian, don't you know who Jingui is? His uncle works at Hagi Company. It's easy for him to bring you all into the company. His words were full of pride. It was as if Zhang Jingui's relative working at Hagi Company was a great thing. So, can we go in? After Zhang Jingui and the others had bragged in front of her and Guxian, Yun Jian said faintly, Hey, I'll ask my uncle to come out and pick us up. Zhang Jingui made a phone call. After a while, a middle-aged man in a suit came out of Hagi Company and brought everyone into the company. That's my uncle. My uncle is from Hagi's company. Zhang Jingui wanted to show off his skills as soon as he stepped into the company, but he was interrupted by Zhang Jingui. Just as he was about to brag, a tall figure appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, the tall figure was being escorted by a group of bodyguards. Isn't that Hagi Company CEO Mayor? Zhang Jingui shouted. Then, he wanted to show off his knowledge in front of Yun Jian, so he deliberately coughed twice. After adjusting his state of mind, he continued, This Hagi Company CEO Mayor is not a simple person. Seeing Mayor pass by in the distance, Zhang Jingui was just bragging to Yun Jian when Guxian's voice sounded. Chapter 1135. Hearing Guxian's words, Zhang Jingui, who was about to boast, immediately shut his mouth. After being stunned, Zhang Jingui said faintly, What? That's the CEO of Hagi Company. He's the son of the chairman of Hagi Company and the future heir of Hagi Company. You said that he attended your parents' wedding a while ago? Haha, don't be delusional. How could people like us meet such a big shot like him? You must have mistaken him for someone else. When Zhang Jingui heard Gu Xian's words, he didn't take them seriously at all. He immediately sneered. Zhang Jingui laughed, and the two roommates who were in cahoots with him also laughed. "Uncle, let's go to the interview place." After laughing, Zhang Jingui led the way to the interview place. Hagi Company was one of the top 10 international corporations. Like Rongyao Company, it gathered elites and talents from all walks of life throughout the year. Therefore, there was an independent space that was specially decorated as an interview place. Outside of this independent space, there was also a waiting room before the interview. As soon as they walked into the waiting room, they were surrounded by young people waiting for the interview. At this time, they were all very anxious and were obviously worried about whether they could pass the interview smoothly. "Little girl, do you see it? This is the interview place of a big company. How is it? Amazing, right?" Zhang Jiangui continued to boast to Yun Jian in high spirits, but he was very anxious at this moment. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. The waiting room before the interview was only separated from the corridor by a floor-to-ceiling glass window. From here, one could look through the glass window and see the closed door across the corridor. "Hee, are you curious? Do you know where that place is?" Seeing that Yun Jian ignored him and looked at the closed door across the corridor, Zhang Jingui walked over and said. Yun Jian still ignored him. She naturally knew where that place was. From a moment she heard that Zhang Jingui and his group were going to interview at Hagi Company, she already knew the structure of this place like the back of her hand. It could even be said that the reason she agreed to enter the company with Zhang Jingui and his group today was because she knew that opposite the interview waiting room that's the meeting room for the leaders of Hagi Company. Zhang Jingui continued to boast. Even if Yun Jian ignored him, he couldn't stop bragging. "Do you know why the CEO of Hagi Company was here? Hey, they're having a meeting over there. It's said to be a very important board meeting." "Oh, does that mean the chairman of Hagi Company will also be here?" Zhang Jingui's roommate also exclaimed in surprise. "That's right. After the board meeting, we might have a chance to see the chairman of Hagi Company." Zhang Jingui gestured exaggeratedly. It felt like being able to see the CEO of Hagi Company was a blessing of several lifetimes. However, as soon as Zhang Jingui's exaggerated boasting ended, he saw from the corner of his eye that Yun Jian had already stepped out of the door of the interview waiting room. She was almost standing at the door of the meeting room. Zhang Jingui and his group were shocked. Then, with Zhang Jingui taking the lead, he and his uncle rushed to the front and quickly ran up. Then, Zhang Jingui looked at Yun Jian and said in a low voice that you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.